I woke up as Hui in the global highway survival game with 2% fuel, 10 kilometers of range, and 1 hour before the gray mist swallowed everything behind me. Then 1 gold trait per level bound to my soul. The roulette landed on infinite, and my fuel tank became an infinite fuel reactor. Weeks later, I logged the server's first tier 3 white thorn kill with a sniper, a mechanic, and a silver-haired medical awakener beside me. The mist would never catch us. Quick favor before we dive in, hit like and subscribe. It makes a real difference for the channel. How did I end up here? Let me take you back to the very first day. A cold, synthesized voice detonates inside my skull, welcoming me to the global highway survival game. It calls this a migration belonging to all of humanity, an escape with no end. Billionaire or beggar, the voice says, every human now starts equal, one vehicle, one life. Whatever vehicle you possess, you automatically learn how to drive it. Plane, tank, taxi, bicycle, sports car, fire truck, subway train. The system does not care. The highway under your wheels stretches infinite, and it is your only way to survive. Do not look back. The gray mist is chasing, the voice says. Its speed is constant. It devours all living things. Collect resources. Upgrade the vehicle. Survive. I look around. His ceiling I expect is gone. What I see instead is a windshield and a sky so gloomy it looks like a bucket of aged ink has been dumped across it. I am sitting in a driver's seat. My hands are wrapped around a black steering wheel, so I transmigrated. The thought lands without panic. I am a modern youth, and my tolerance for sudden absurdity runs deep. I reach for my phone. My phone is gone. In its place is a black leather manual stamped with a blood-red countdown reading 59 minutes, 32 seconds until gray mist arrival. Less a manual, more a life-threatening hourglass. I flip through the survival rules. The vehicle is my safe zone, off limits to anyone I have not invited. Inside the vehicle, I am untouchable, and my belongings stay mine unless I die. Even ordinary monsters out there are hard to kill, but everyone I do kill drops good loot. I have to upgrade the vehicle to survive the threats ahead. Watch the sanity stat, the manual warns, because madness here is worse than death. 100,000 resource boxes have been scattered across the highway, and to view my panel, I just have to silently think the word system, though anyone nearby can also see it pop up, so I should pick my moments. I close the manual, focus on the void and think it. A pale blue translucent screen unfolds in the air. On the left side, I am Hui, human, status healthy with mild hunger, sanity at 100 out of 100. The note warns me that sanity under 30 invites suicidal urges, under 20 brings whispers, under 10 brings full madness. Spirit at 5, the same as any normal adult, governs how fast my sanity recovers. Physique at 5 is the average of speed, strength, and defense. On the right side is the vehicle panel. A civilian Type C recreational vehicle, entry level, level 1. Physical defense 20, which the system politely informs me is barely enough to take a swipe from a level 1 zombie. Magic resistance 0. Tonnage 3 tons. Space 8 cubic meters. Durability at 50%. Front left wheel severely worn. Fuel at 2%. Estimated range 10 kilometers. External weaponry, nothing. Overall evaluation, a mobile iron coffin. Recommended to find a graveyard soon. 10 kilometers of fuel. That glaring 2% spikes my pulse harder than the gray mist warning did. This is not survival. This is a delivery slip from my own funeral. The cold mechanical voice cuts back in with an area announcement. Players in Area C, 996, attention. Current location is the zombie wasteland. The gray mist has begun to spread 30 kilometers away, moving at 30 kilometers per hour. Start your vehicles and run, or be erased to the bone. I do the math in one breath. 1 hour of margin. My tank dies in 10 minutes flat if I floor it. After that, the mist eats whatever is left of me. I tap the flashing area channel and the chat is already in meltdown. Someone wails that his new Ferrari turned into a crappy Wulin Hongguang. Someone else snaps that he should be grateful because he himself is stuck on an open-air tricycle. A scooter guy is screaming. People are asking how to read fuel gauges. 20-kilometer ranges, no gas stations, wasteland in every direction. Somewhere a man is howling that he wants to go home, the literal sound of a baby. A wiser voice points out the obvious. This is doomsday. Of course, the system did not give anyone a full tank. The whole point is to force everyone outside to hunt for boxes. I scroll and confirm what I already suspect. Almost everyone is in the same shallow grave. The system handed out a fair desperate start. Low fuel across the board, and now it is grading us on courage and luck. First round filter. My luck is okay. At least I am not on a bicycle. I exhale and tell myself the obvious. Sitting here is death. I have to find resource boxes. I am reaching for the key when a fresh chime hits, brighter and somehow further away, as if dropped down from a higher floor. The system tells me my soul traits match. Cheat binding in progress. Binding successful. 1 gold trait per level. Unique. Every time the vehicle levels up, I get 1 gold trait that I can forcibly apply to any vehicle component. As a newbie benefit, my level 1 recreational vehicle draws its first trait immediately. A golden roulette wheel only I can see floats up in front of the windshield. It spins, slows, and lands. A card materializes in the air, blazing gold. Entry name, Infinite. Quality, golden legend. Type, rule-based. Attribute, bestows the infinite trait on a target. Apply it to a vehicle-mounted weapon and the ammo becomes infinite. Apply it to a water tank and the fresh water becomes infinite. Use immediately? My usually calm heart skips 2 beats looking at the word infinite. In a resource-scarce apocalypse, what matters most? Water, food, bullets. None of them. The only thing that matters right now is whether the car can move. If the car cannot move, gold and silver are scrap iron. I glance at the left side mirror. A wall of gray fog is rising at the horizon. Slow, silent, joining sky to ground. It pushes despair the way a tsunami pushes water. I tap the air and tell the system to use the entry on the recreational vehicle fuel tank. A streak of gold burrows under the chassis. The fuel needle, which has been flashing red the whole time, shoots up like it has been injected with stimulants. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. It slams against the F mark and trembles like it might overflow. The fuel tank is now an infinite fuel reactor. Fuel stays locked at 100%, never depletes. Combustion efficiency up 200%, power doubled. No need to ever shut the engine off because excess energy auto-converts into vehicle electricity. I laugh under my breath. In this world, fuel is blood. And while everyone else is fighting over a single drop, I have a perpetual motion fortress. The area channel is still busy crying over droplets. Someone is asking if coasting at idle saves fuel. Someone is begging the player ahead not to brake. People are arguing whether 20 kilometers per hour is the most efficient speed, even though the gray mist clocks 30. A few have already started throwing mattresses out of their cars to lose weight. I sit up, adjust the seat, click the belt, and floor it. The engine, supercharged by super-efficient combustion, lets out a roar that does not belong to a Type C recreational vehicle. It is the roar of a beast waking up. The acceleration pins me to the seat. The clunky body lunges forward like an angry bull spitting black smoke, tires shrieking against the dead highway. The speedometer climbs in seconds. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 kilometers per hour. Outside the window, the wasteland blurs into lines. A few hundred meters back, a cautious player creeping along at 35 kilometers per hour hears the thunder behind him and looks in his rearview mirror. He sees a white behemoth trailing a comet's worth of dust, blowing past him like a fired cannonball. Sand and stones pelt his windows. His recreational vehicle has gone over the horizon before he can finish his curse word. I do not hear his exclamations. I am one hand on the wheel, watching the fuel needle locked at full. This is what survival looks like. This is what security feels like. The status panel updates. Civilian Type C recreational vehicle. Modified version. Level 1. Defense 20. Tonnage 3 tons. Space 8 cubic meters. Durability 80%. Fuel, infinite. Speed 100 kilometers per hour, sprinting. Overall evaluation, a perpetual motion recreational vehicle with infinite power, and as long as the left front wheel does not explode, the Grim Reaper cannot catch me. I narrow my eyes at the empty highway. Step 1, survived. Step 2, find the boxes. 100,000 of them are scattered out here. The question is how many I can scoop before everyone else figures out how to drive. A minute later, I spot the first one. It looks like a wooden treasure chest with a green glow on the surface. No zombies in sight. I hop out, drag the box inside, and pop it open. Inside is a canister of dark liquid. The system labels it universal fuel. Common quality, 1 canister equals 100 kilometers of range in any vehicle. Universal fuel. Not what I need, but in this game, exactly what everyone else needs. In a world where vehicles are kings, universal fuel is liquid gold. I drive on, sweeping the highway of every box in front of me, while the players still farther down the line are howling at the sky asking where their boxes went. Night falls. The wasteland wind sharpens from dry heat into a steel blade. The gray mist in the rear view is long gone, left far behind. I check the countdown. 8 hours, 59 minutes, 32 seconds until the mist catches up. Distance about 270 kilometers. Comfortable margin. I park behind a leeward mound and pull the brake. Infinite fuel or not, I am human, and the front left wheel is still moderately worn. Tires and repair tools become the next shopping list. The interior is not exactly luxurious. Living area 2 meters wide, 3 meters long. A folding table, 2 booth sofas, a 1.2 meter bed with 1 pillow and a thin blanket. A bathroom in the corner with a direct discharge toilet so cramped I cannot turn around in it. Still much better than what most players are stuck with. I shake my head and start cataloging. A shrill howl scrapes past the windows. The cabin temperature drops in seconds. My breath turns into white mist. Frost spreads across the glass at a speed I can watch with my eyes. Area announcement. Cold wave incoming for Area C. 996. Ambient temperature has plunged to minus 10 degrees Celsius and will keep dropping. Low temperatures cost body heat, slow reactions, and slightly reduced sanity. Find a heat source. This game refuses to let anyone breathe. I rub my stiff fingers and open the flashing area channel. Even I cannot keep my pupils from contracting. Current area survivors, 7,001,248 out of 10 million. 3 million people in 7 or 8 hours. Devoured by the gray mist, eaten by zombies, Killed by mutants. The answer hardly matters. The chat is colder than the cold wave itself. People have lost feeling in their feet. The AC is blowing cold. Someone is shouting at the upstairs idiot that you cannot get heat with the engine off. Someone else cannot afford to start the engine because he has 20% fuel and tomorrow's gray mist will catch him if he wastes it now. People are offering instant noodles for gas. Someone is offering a gun for gas. Someone would rather be eaten than freeze. Despair thick enough to smell through the screen. On this highway, fuel is not power. Fuel is body heat. Fuel is one more sunrise. Without it, the mist takes you. With it, your range runs out. A perfect dead end. For me, not a dead end at all. I twist the heater knob to maximum, air volume and temperature both. A rolling heat wave pours out of the vents, and the frost melts off the windows. The cabin thermometer climbs from 0 to 10 to 20 to 26 degrees in seconds. I peel off my windbreaker, sit back in just a t-shirt, and feel the irony. A little too hot, actually. I look over my haul. In the 700 or 800 kilometers I just burned through, I scooped over 100 resource boxes. The system says there are 10 million players and only 100,000 boxes in this area. A 100-to-1 ratio. Most people will see exactly 0. I open all of mine, over 50 units of universal fuel. The rest is food, appliances, daily supplies. Strategic supplies, 55 units of universal fuel, 8 spare tires. Food, 24 bottles of mineral water at 500 milliliters each, 15 bags of compressed biscuits, 10 bags of Wang Wang snow crackers, 6 bags of Lay's potato chips, 11 bottles of Coca-Cola, 11 bowls of braised beef instant noodles, 5 bags of marinated eggs, 7 sticks of ham sausage, 1 portion of lettuce, 12 ears of corn, and 1 full mutton hot pot set. Appliances, 2 electric kettles, 2 induction cookers, 3 rechargeable high-intensity flashlights. In the apocalypse, supplies are the only thing that matters. A frugal person could live a month off this haul. The only annoyance is that the system did not give me a backpack, so the recreational vehicle is now stacked. 55 canisters of universal fuel eat the most space, but every one of those canisters is liquid gold to people about to freeze into ice sculptures. I open the area channel and type one calm line. For sale, 1 portion of universal fuel. Message me if interested. The wailing channel goes briefly silent, then erupts. Someone is shocked anyone is selling. Someone asks if I run a gas station. Someone begs me to give it for free because he is freezing. I reply with one word, no. People shout that I am cold-blooded, that karma will come. Other people shout at them to shut up, and then DM me. In under 10 minutes, I have traded 10 canisters of universal fuel for the supplies I actually want. Water, bread, food, and better shapes. One trade nets me an axe gun with 3 bullets left, which is a surprise worth the canister. I tuck the axe gun into my pack and decide to study it later. First, food. I pour mineral water into the induction cooker and plug it in. Any other player would never dare because car batteries die before pasta water boils, and a dead battery means a dead engine. My infinite fuel converts excess energy into electricity. Boiling water is nothing. I could run an arc welder. 2 minutes later, the water is rolling. I rip open the mutton hot pot kit. Soup base, 1.5 kilograms of mutton, sesame sauce, chili sauce, vegetables, vermicelli. Generous. I drop in the mushroom base and look out the window again. The wind has grown shrill enough to sound like ghosts. The area channel reads like a funeral. Someone says his hands have turned black. Someone says she is hungry enough to trade her body for a piece of bread. Female. Someone tells her nobody has the energy for that right now. Someone has stomach cramps from cold water. Someone is calling for his mother. I drop the mutton into the pot. Steam blurs my face. I dip a thick slice in sesame sauce and shovel it into my mouth. The hot meat slides down and every pore in my body unclenches. The system pings. Consumed high-calorie delicious food. Status updated to satiated. Sanity recovering slightly. Currently 100 out of 100. Full and overflowing. Evaluation: in the apocalypse, a mouthful of hot soup is more precious than gold. I chase it with a gulp of mutton broth, feeling the sweat bead on my forehead, and glance again at the black wasteland outside. Outside is hell. Inside the car is heaven. It is only the first day, I murmur, stuffing the last bite in. To keep living like this, the vehicle has to get stronger. A dull thud hits the car door, then claws scraping sheet metal. My fork stops midair. My eyes go blade sharp. The friction sound rakes again, like a rusty spoon dragged across teeth. I put the chopsticks down. The warm air is still blowing through the cabin, but the air itself feels solid now. Left side, at the door. I hold my breath and step to the driver's seat. Through the side window I find a face, or what used to be one. A humanoid creature is clinging to the outside of the driver's door, skin a deathly gray-white like pork left in water too long. No black pupils in the eye sockets, just a murky ghastly white. A mouth split open to the ears, full of jagged teeth slicked with black viscous fluid. It senses the heat and the meat smell inside, presses its face flat to the glass and sniffs greedy. The system pings. Monster detected. Analyzing. Target: strength-type zombie at tier 1. Strength 30, where a healthy adult male reads 5 and a professional boxer reads 10 to 25. Agility 5, normal human range. Constitution 30, 6 times a healthy adult male. Evaluation, a hungry tier 1 zombie whose claws can tear through me without effort. Strength, the same speed as a man my size. The body of a top-tier boxer. If I meet this thing outside the recreational vehicle, I do not even get a struggle. And this is just tier 1. The monsters in this world are not friendly. The zombie outside loses patience. A guttural roar. Claws like dry branches but harder than iron, lifting and slamming down on the door. The 3-ton recreational vehicle shakes from one blow. I grip the steering wheel and stare at the door. A fist-sized dent now bulges inward. 3 deep claw scores, the curled iron edges showing fresh metal underneath. The system warns me the vehicle is under attack. Barely defended, not penetrated yet, but the structure is taking damage. I steady my breath. This level 1 civilian recreational vehicle is a tin can. If I let this thing keep working the door, it tears through in under a minute. Once it is inside the cramped cabin, against a 30-strength monster, I am a corpse. Counterattack or escape. I remember Rule 4 of the manual. Every monster killed drops rich resources. I reach for the axe gun at my waist. Common quality, melee or ranged, 3 of 9 bullets loaded, brutal recoil. The cold metal grip steadies me, but I do not fire. 1 shot to kill, am I sure? To shoot, I have to drop the window. In the second the window is down, is my bullet faster than its claw. I look at its gleaming claws. I look at my own arm. A real man does not pick bayonets with monsters. Not when he has a cheat. Why fight its strength with my weakness? I jam the axe gun back in my belt and grab the steering wheel with both hands. Right, I can just ram it. I release the brake, drop into D gear, and stomp the accelerator the magically modified infinite entry has blessed for me. Get out of my way. The double power engine roars like thunder. The recreational vehicle becomes an enraged rhinoceros, 4 wheels grinding the frozen ground, kicking up ice chips and dirt. The zombie hanging on the door clearly did not expect this iron lump to go berserk. Inertia flings its body backward, but its claws are buried so deep in the metal it stays welded to the door. A horrible tearing screech of metal on bone, still not letting go. I look at its snarling face through the glass with ice in my eyes. Then do not let go. 100 meters ahead is the highway guardrail. Old, rusty, but solid steel. I press the accelerator deeper. 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour. At the last second, I yank the wheel right. An ordinary recreational vehicle flips here. Mine has 3 tons of self-weight and a driver willing to gamble. The body grinds the guardrail with all of its kinetic energy at once. The zombie clinging to the left door is sandwiched between the recreational vehicle and the guardrail. Die. A dull, enormous thud, bones shattering, flesh bursting, then a long, ugly drag of friction. The shriek begins and ends in the same breath. A 3-ton recreational vehicle at 100 kilometers per hour does not care about strength 30 and constitution 30. The zombie compresses like a tomato under a hydraulic press, and black blood mixed with shredded flesh splatters my window. I feel a small bump under the wheels. Foreign object. The system pings the kill on a tier 1 strength-type zombie. Drops. 1 recreational vehicle reinforcement blueprint level 1 to level 2. 1 canister of universal fuel, 1 500 milliliter bottle of Sprite. The rewards are indeed generous. I drive for another stretch before stopping in a safer spot. I wipe cold sweat off my forehead, scan the perimeter, and crack the door open with the axe gun in my right hand and the flashlight in my left. Minus 10-degree wind cuts in. The outside of the door is a horror show. The flat iron is pitted, scarred, dragged into a long dent from the guardrail. Black stains and pulped tissue cling to the glass. I clean it up roughly, climb back into the warm cabin, and pull out the recreational vehicle advancement blueprint. Advancement blueprint, level 1 to level 2. Requires the recreational vehicle at level 1. Met. Requires 50 units of steel, obtainable by dismantling abandoned vehicles. Requires 10 units of rubber with the 7 spare tires I already own counted in. Upgrade effect. Whole vehicle armor reinforcement. Defense up to 40, plus space expansion. Defense 40. My eyes brighten. That ghoul with strength 30 tore my defense 20 door. At defense 40, monsters of that tier feel like ticklers. And once the recreational vehicle hits level 2, the 1 gold trait per level talent fires again. I grip the blueprint, eyes hot. The first entry, infinite, already gave me my pass out of the gray mist. The second one is going to be what? A red bolded message slams into the area channel, breaking my thought. Help! The message screams. My recreational vehicle broke down. Brothers, I am Lee Sang, a fashion model. Please save me, I will do anything. Then a coordinate string. Her location is about 3 kilometers from mine. I do not lift a finger toward her. In the apocalypse, a bleeding heart hastens your own funeral. I close the slightly warped door tight. The whole encounter has taught me a single sentence. On this escape highway, people are inferior to vehicles. As long as the recreational vehicle is strong enough, I live. I set the blueprint reverently on the dashboard, shift gears, and start driving. The new mission is simple. Find abandoned vehicles. Harvest steel and tires. The night passes without incident. I stretch awake on the 0.9 meter wide bed. First night in this apocalyptic world, and I did not sleep well. half conscious the whole time listening for sounds. I open the system. Time remaining until gray mist arrival, 4 hours, 54 minutes, 2 seconds. I drove another 3 hours last night. Without that, the mist would already be on top of me. Infinite power or not, the fog in my back is a maggot on a rotting bone, and it leans on the mind even when it is far away. I shake it off and wash up. The bathroom mirror shows me a youth maybe 18 or 19 years old. Short black hair, clean eyes with a thread of detachment buried in them, a faint cold quiet around the face. So that is what Imhui looks like. Back in the cab, I cook a bowl of instant noodles and open the area channel as I eat. After a night of purging by the cold wave, the survivor count has settled at 5,211,000. Another 2 million people gone. The survivors who made it have clearly understood the rules. People are buying universal fuel. People are buying tires because their wheels are blown. Someone is talking about a monster that nearly tore his door open and how he has to upgrade his sports car. 10 minutes later, I close the system. From everyone's sharing, I now know zombies drop upgrade blueprints, universal fuel, weapons, bread, water, razors, medicine. Players are forming teams. Crimes have already started, plenty of them. In an apocalypse with no order, the evil in a human head gets the green light. I wipe my mouth and start the engine. Today's job: collect the 50 units of steel and the 3 remaining units of rubber to push the recreational vehicle to level 2. A problem hits me immediately. Because I have infinite fuel, I have driven harder and farther than almost everyone in this area. Ahead of me, there are no abandoned cars to harvest. I will have to go back. I drive slow along the highway, turning the idea over in my head. 20 kilometers in, my gaze locks on a patch of wilderness off to the right. In the dry yellow grass lies a massive object. A crashed military helicopter, fuselage broken in two, rotors twisted, but every inch of that thick armor and sturdy landing gear glitters in my eyes as high-quality special steel. Good luck. I gun the accelerator and the recreational vehicle crushes the roadbed. As I approach, I notice a zombie wandering aimlessly beside the wreck. The system pings. Target agile-type zombie at Tier 1. Strength 10, double a healthy adult male. Agility 20, top sprinter range. Physique 20, 4 times a healthy adult male. An agile type. I raise an eyebrow without slowing. I do not plan to ram this one. I plan to bait it. The engine roars. The agile type zombie locks onto the sound, sprints after the recreational vehicle like it has spotted a hot meal. The thing moves like a cheetah. I jerk the wheel and lead it off in another direction. 10 minutes later, I check the left mirror. No sign of the zombie. I swing wide to circle back, and that is when something feels wrong. The vehicle panel refreshes. Durability 5%. All 4 tires reading abnormal pressure. Only 50 more kilometers possible. Immediate replacement recommended. My face hardens. I lean out the window. All 4 tires front and back are flat. The rims are pressing into dirt. Several homemade triangular steel nails are glinting cold in each one. Road spikes. Someone planted them here. I have been set up. This was no coincidence. These triangular nails are for shredding tires, and they were placed in the exact blind spot of where I parked. Someone in this area is faster than me. That, on its own, is information. An engine sound carries over from the distance. My eyes narrow. A minute later, a yellow-painted, very battered sports car rolls out and stops exactly 20 meters off. The doors open. 2 men and a woman step out. The leading man, mid-30s, with a scar that runs from his brow bone to the corner of his mouth, wearing a black leather jacket. Call him Scarface. Behind him on the left is a young woman, maybe an 8 in looks, but with a very loud figure. Behind him on the right is a kid with bleached yellow hair, twirling a car key in his fingers. The yellow-haired youth strolls toward my recreational vehicle at an easy pace and calls out asking if I am okay. He says this place is crawling with zombies, that he saw me parked a long time without moving and got worried, so he came over to check. Scarface says nothing. His eyes are fixed on my recreational vehicle, and the greed in them is unhidden. It is a recreational vehicle. Big, warm. Their drafty taxi might be fast, but otherwise it is a junk pile. I do not get out. My right hand drifts inside my windbreaker pocket and closes around the cold grip of the axe gun. I tell them flatly that yeah, flat tire, calm voice, no emotion. The yellow-haired youth slaps his thigh as if heartbroken on my behalf. He says we are in the middle of nowhere with the gray mist still chasing, and as fate would have it, we just met. So how about I ride along with them? I raise an eyebrow and ask whether I should ride in their car. He says sure. Their car might be junk, but at least it runs. As he talks, he and Scarface fan out toward me from 2 angles. He adds that we all wound up in this hellhole for no reason, so we should help each other. Help each other. I watch their hands. The yellow-haired youth keeps his right hand behind his back. His steps are light and tense. His eyes flick into my recreational vehicle, checking for anyone else. I have seen this clumsy choreography 1,000 times in apocalypse movies in my past life. This is a vehicle hijacking. Spike the tires, play the rescuer, get the target out of the cabin or onto their pirate ship, and from there the target dies on their schedule. I tell them I am good. My car can still be fixed. The yellow-haired youth's face twitches. Scarface steps in closer, less than 5 meters between us now. Scarface finally speaks. His voice is raspy, ugly, soaked in casual menace. He tells me not to be stubborn. We are all human. The only way to survive this hellhole is together. I look at the two of them and the corner of my mouth pulls into a mocking curve. I tell them they can drop the act. Unless I am mistaken, the road spikes were theirs. The yellow-haired youth's expression freezes mid-grin. Scarface's gaze flips. No more pretense. Just naked murder. He spits that since I have seen through it, I should not blame them for being ruthless, and I should not think hiding inside the recreational vehicle will save me, because they have ways of dragging me out. The scar-faced man is still standing on the broken asphalt, talking about all the ways he is going to drag me out of the recreational vehicle. I sit in the driver's seat and let him finish. Rule number 1 of the survival code already told me what he does not know. The recreational vehicle is my safe zone. Nobody enters without my permission. As long as I stay inside, the scar-faced man and the yellow-haired man behind him are just two people standing on a road, throwing insults at a steel wall. The scar-faced man tells me my tires are not going to last, and they will catch me eventually. He tells me even if they cannot enter, they have plenty of ways to force me out. I tell him I am sure they do. Then I pull out the axe gun and point the barrel through the gap in the window. Both of them see the muzzle at the same time. Their pupils shrink in that specific way only a real gun produces, the fear that lives in the bone of every human being. The yellow-haired man immediately throws his hands up and starts to say it is a misunderstanding. He gets 2 syllables out. I pull the trigger. At this range, the bullet does not give him time to flinch. It punches him in the chest and slams him into the gravel. He twitches twice, and the dirty blood from his body soaks the dead yellow grass red. He is not getting back up. The scar-faced man looks at his friend bleeding out on the road, and then at me, resetting the hammer of the axe gun. I watch the cold climb from his tailbone to the back of his skull. He never thought I would have a gun. He squeezes a smile onto his face that looks uglier than crying, and starts inching backward, telling me it is a misunderstanding, that he will leave right now, that the car is mine, that the woman is mine, that I can play with her or use her as bait for other players. He begs me to spare him. I tell him I remember the road spikes he was laying down a minute ago. He did not think those were a misunderstanding then. He tries to push the blame onto his dead partner. I shoot him in the head. The body drops straight down into the dirt, his eyes wide open. In this apocalypse, explanations are the most useless thing on earth. Only the dead do not stab you in the back. Both shots landed. The axe gun kicks like a horse, but the punch it carries is real. I roll my sore shoulder and look at the 2 corpses. It is the first time I have killed someone. There is something uncomfortable in my chest, but I know it goes away after the next few. That is the kind of math you do now. I glance behind me at the young woman they were using as bait. She has collapsed on the asphalt, soaked through where she shouldn't be, shaking. I push the door open and step down. She watches me come, trembling, telling me not to kill her. I ask her name. She gives me her real one before she can think about it. She tells me her name is Lee Sang. Lee Sang, the woman who was begging for help on the area channel last night. The bait that lured those 2 would-be hunters. Before me, I ask her if she was deliberately drawing players in last night. She bursts into tears and tells me she was forced into it. She pulls her collar down, showing me her pale chest, eyes wet with that specific kind of ingratiating fear. She tells me she had no choice, that as long as I let her live, she will do anything. She crawls forward on her knees and looks up at me. She tells me she can warm my bed. She tells me I can play with her however I want. She tells me that in this kind of world, a woman to vent on is better than being alone. She is very confident about her body. In the old world, she did this kind of work, and men lined up. I look down at her tear-stained face, then at the axe gun in my hand. The ammo counter reads 1 out of 9. 1 bullet left. She is not worth the bullet. I tell her she would only eat my food. It is not contempt for the work. It is just no interest in her. Her pupils blow wide because she finally sees what is in my eyes. And it is not desire. It is the look you give trash you are about to step over. She tries to argue that she is useful. I tell her to shut up. I have work to do. I walk to the taxi system. Dismantle this taxi. The system scans, confirms the driver is dead, and the blue light wraps around the wreck. A second later, the materials drop into my inventory. 4 rubber tires, 10 units of ordinary steel. It really is like playing a game, except when you die, you actually die. I pull out the level 2 upgrade blueprint and feed the materials in. The tires and steel dissolve into golden streams and flow into the schematic. Steel at 10 out of 50. Rubber satisfied. Still not enough steel. I turn back toward the recreational vehicle. Lee Sang lunges and grabs my leg. She begs me to take her with me. With her taxi gone, if I leave her, she is dead. I tell her she can post on the area channel. Maybe someone else will come. She shrieks that I dismantled her car, so I owe her. My hand tightens on the axe gun. Then the roar comes. I look up, 2 kilometers out. The gray after image I baited away from the helicopter is sprinting back, drawn by the gunshots and the smell of fresh blood. The agile type zombie. Tier 1. Leopard fast. My adrenaline goes vertical. I shove Lee Sang off my leg, jump onto the running board and slam the deformed door shut behind me. She is still screaming. She throws herself at the recreational vehicle, pounding the door, begging me to open it. The gray streak hits the road. There is not much to it. The agile-type zombie pounces like a hunting cat, and her scream turns into a wet swallowing sound within 2 heartbeats. I sit in the driver's seat with my pulse hammering in my throat. That fast. If I had been 1 breath slower, that would have been me on the asphalt. I let out my breath and released the handbrake. While the zombie is feeding, I floor the accelerator. Destination: the crashed military helicopter. I need that steel before this thing finishes its meal. Lee Sang's screaming dies behind me into thin gurgles, and then nothing at all. My knuckles go white on the wheel, but it is not fear. It is the opposite. Every nerve I have is dialed in. Adrenaline keeps the world crisp around the edges. 5 minutes, that is the window. In the rear view, the agile-type zombie is tearing into the wet mass that used to be Lee Sang. A Tier 1 agile mutant eats faster than a tiger. When that body is bones, the zombie comes back to the helicopter, because the helicopter is where the real meat smell is. My recreational vehicle is at 5% durability with all 4 tires shredded. If it can't move, I am the next course. The upgrade has to happen before the meal ends. 5 kilometers later, I am there. I drop out of the cab. The wind cuts my face like wire, and I do not register it. In front of me, the crashed military helicopter is broken in half. The rotors snapped, the fuselage twisted. The original crew got dragged out and eaten days ago. To anyone else, this is scrap. To me, it is top-grade steel and a life raft. I press my palm against the cold metal and tell the system to dismantle. The system scans, confirms the pilot is dead, and warns me the volume is large. 3 minutes, estimated. 3 minutes. I check over my shoulder. The zombie is not yet in view. Faster, faster. The blue progress bar crawls. My heart slams against my ribs hard enough to hurt. Every second is a stretched out wire. Finally, the ding lands. Dismantle complete. 60 units of armored bulletproof steel, 2 units of rubber, 1 fire control chip rare, 20 sets of precision electronics, and dump the steel and rubber into the level 2 blueprint. Then sprint back to the recreational vehicle. In the driver's seat, I trigger the upgrade. Vehicle advancement blueprint, level 1 to level 2. Steel 50 units, requirement met. The system tells me the steel it is using is far higher grade than spec. Evolution direction has shifted from iron plate reinforced type to heavy assault type. I tell it to evolve. A dark golden glare swallows the whole vehicle. This is not a repair, it is a forging. The aviation steel I pulled from the helicopter crawls up the side panels of my recreational vehicle like it is alive, replacing every fragile sheet with 2 centimeters of matte black armor. The civilian curves go sharp and angular. 2 thick alloy beams push out from the front bumper and lock together into a barbed triangular ram. At every wheel hub, rotating steel spikes slide out. Alloy spike ramming horn at the nose. Hub meat grinder spikes at the wheels. The light dies. What is crouched on the road is no longer the civilian camper I started in. It is a 10-ton black assault platform. My panel updates. Vehicle, recreational vehicle, level 2. Physical defense at 100. Jumped from 20. Triple the standard level 2 thanks to the aviation steel bonus. Tonnage 10 tons. Capacity 10 cubic meters. Durability fully restored. Fuel infinite. No external weapons yet. Talent triggered. Level 2 golden trait extracting. 1 golden trait per level. This is my whole edge in this apocalypse. The wheel slows and a card resolves out of the gold. Trait name, indestructible. Quality, golden legend. Type, rule-based. Effect bestow on any non-living component to make it immune to all physical wear, aging, and destruction. Infinite fuel gave me infinite power. This one gives me infinite endurance. On a road full of nails and glass, the thing that breaks first is never the body. It is the tires. A blown tire makes the highest defense in the world a stationary coffin. Bestow target, all vehicle tires. The golden light sinks into the 4 all-terrain wheels and a shimmering film coats the rubber. The system pings, modification complete. Indestructible run-flat tires, golden and unique. Absolute physical defense, nails do not pierce, bullets do not penetrate, fire does not melt. Constant grip on any terrain, ice, snow, or quagmire. Then the roar. I turn my head. The agile-type zombie finished its meal and came back. Its mouth is wet with Lee Sang. It crouches like a leopard winding for the pounce, those cloudy eyes fixed on the driver's window. I tell it through the glass that since it is done eating, it can go. It launches. 10 meters in a blink. Claws straight at my window. The old me would have run. The claws hit the black armored door and sound goes off like nails on a chalkboard. Sparks burst across the panel. When the claws slide off, they leave a faint white scuff on the paint, not even down to bare metal. This is what 100 defense actually means. I look out at the agile-type zombie, panting and furious, scrabbling for grip, and I smile. I tell it that since it has scratched its fill, it is my turn. I shift into drive and crank the wheel hard left. The infinite fuel reactor dumps 10 tons of torque into the chassis. The recreational vehicle whips like a top. The agile-type zombie clinging to the door does not expect a 10-ton box of steel to spin. Centrifugal force tears it loose and flings it back. dead aim at a roadside boulder. I floor the pedal. The fresh side spikes along the left flank, those shark fin shredders, drag the agile-type zombie across the boulder like a giant file. The hit is not a hit, it is a press. Watermelon on iron, black blood sprays. The agile-type zombie, the famous Tier 1 sprinter, never gets a scream out. Its body folds between 10 tons of steel and a hard rock. The system pings. Killed 1 Tier 1 agile-type zombie. Dropped 1 unit of universal fuel and 1 bottle of 550 milliliters mineral water. The cabin settles. I sit there listening to the engine purr. This is power. This is the price of admission to staying alive on this road. The drops are thin though. No advanced upgrade blueprint. I pop the door to grab the loot and find it is already in the cabin. The system tells me hidden level 2 vehicle function unlocked. Automatic reward pickup. I exhale, smiling. I do not have to step out for drops anymore. Step out is when people die. I check the system. The gray mist is 75 kilometers behind me, 2.5 hours from arrival. I am about to check the 2 extra cubic meters of space the upgrade gave me when a red banner scrolls across the top of the area channel. Congratulations to player Joe Chiamba. Successfully upgraded vehicle to level 3. Achievement reward unlocked, autopilot module. It lands like a depth charge. Level 3. Autopilot. I thought I was the front of the server at level 2. Someone is already a level above me. And the reward. Autopilot. For a normal player, autopilot means a nap and some recovered stamina. For me, with infinite fuel, it means a perpetual motion machine. A driver who never has to drive. 24 hours a day on the highway. No rest. No idle. The person rests, the vehicle does not. With autopilot and infinite fuel, I am a ghost that never stops. Always one full day ahead of every other survivor. I have to upgrade. My eyes are hot. I have not seen a resource box in a long time. The road in front of me has already been scraped clean by Joe Chiamba or someone like him. I am picking up other people's leftovers. Not anymore. I tighten my hands on the wheel and look at the alloy spike ramming horn, still wet with Lee Sung and zombie pulp. If there are no boxes left on the road, I will hunt monsters. I drop the pedal and the black assault platform roars onto the highway. This time I am not steering around the wandering zombies. After 50 kilometers, I spot 7 or 8 of them shuffling on the asphalt. Hunting time. A 10-ton steel behemoth at 80 kilometers per hour into a clump of dead men is a bowling ball into a rack of pins. The alloy spike ramming horn turns the zombies into a spray of severed limbs and black blood. The indestructible tires do not care about the bone splinters they roll over. I do not blink. The system rolls notifications. Killed Tier 1 strength-type zombie, 1 unit of universal fuel, 1 Swiss Army knife. Killed Tier 1 agile-type zombie, 1 unit of universal fuel, 1 unit of universal fuel. The recreational vehicle fills up. This is the joy of grinding mobs. I pick out the densest packs deliberately, like an ATM with legs. After hundreds of collisions, the ding I was waiting for lands. Vehicle upgrade blueprint level 2 to level 3 obtained. The blueprint at last. Then the road ahead sprouts 3 rows of triangular spikes. Some other player set a trap. The old me would have braked. I do not brake. The black recreational vehicle drives straight over the spike rows. Metal cracks like brittle candy. The indestructible tires roll off the spikes without a mark. I slap the wheel and laugh out loud. This is what road survival is supposed to feel like. No caution, no clinging to safety. The only rules on this highway are the rules I write with the front bumper. Day 3. A black steel recreational vehicle moves along a wrecked highway. According to the system, this area is called the Zombie Wasteland. It feels like Tibet's high plateau, cold and dry and endless. Along the way, I have seen plenty of level 2 vehicles, taxis and vans and buses, even helicopters overhead. Whoever made it to day 3 has at least a working car. Bicycles, scooters, wheelchairs, those owners are already dead or attached to someone with a real ride. Region, C, 996 player survivors, 3,001,314. 2 days in, and 70% of the region is gone. The gray mist keeps grinding forward behind us. Nobody parks. I check the dash. Time until gray mist arrival, 14 hours, 35 minutes, 20 seconds. Mist speed, 30 kilometers per hour. My speed, 80. I sit one-handed at the wheel, the other holding a cold can of cola. Indestructible tires and infinite fuel mean I read road hazards the way other people read weather reports. Briefly. Glass, road spikes, debris. I drive over all of it and the vehicle barely sways while whatever it hits goes to powder. Not enough though. I open my personal panel. Name Im Hui. Race human. Status healthy. Sanity 100 out of 100, with a note that under 30 brings suicidal thoughts, under 20 brings whispers, under 10 brings madness. Spirit 5, average adult. Higher spirit means stronger sanity resistance and faster sanity recovery. Physique 5, combined strength, speed, and defense. A regular adult's body, holding a regular adult's mind in a war machine. I hunted yesterday and killed about 200 zombies. Universal fuel has the highest drop rate, food second, medicine rarest. I have 2 bottles of antibiotics, 1 bottle of fever reducer, 1 bottle of stomach medicine. The cabin is full. Any more zombies and I am sleeping on cans. I pull out the upgrade blueprint. The system offers two options. Option A, Standard, costs 70 units of common steel and 10 units of precision electronic components. Unlocks a basic 7.62mm vehicle-mounted machine gun, increases vehicle space by 20% and defense by 10%. Option B, Perfect, costs 100 units of armored bulletproof steel, 10 units of precision electronic components, and 1 fire control chip. Unlocks a 25mm heavy chain autocannon, space up to 20 cubic meters, defense up to 200, tonnage up to 20 tons. I take option B without a second thought. A 7.62 machine gun is fine for shooting players, but takes 3 or 4 rounds on a single zombie. The ramming horn is more efficient. The 25mm autocannon takes a zombie's head off in 1 shot and punches an armored vehicle in 2. I already have the electronics and the fire control chip from the helicopter. What I do not have is 90 more units of armored bulletproof steel. That kind of steel only comes off military vehicles, armored cash carriers, or aircraft. Most players cannot produce it. But with 3 million survivors in this region alone, somebody pulled some. I open the area channel. In 2 days, the channel has stratified. The pinned messages are no longer desperate help requests. They are loud, bold, color-formatted recruitment orders. Each player gets 10 posts a day for free. Extra posts cost 1 unit of universal fuel. Bold or colored special effects cost 20 units. A pinned full-screen ad costs 50. The pinned ads on the channel right now are 4. Bachian Alliance led by Joe Chiamba. Server number 1 guild recruiting. Leader already level 3 with autopilot unlocked. Inviting players with heavy trucks, tanks, helicopters, or rockets. Free fuel and beautiful slaves promised. Goal stated as the first mobile city. Elites only, trash get lost. Rose Society, female players only. Men are unreliable, sisters must arm themselves. Calls itself the only pure land in the apocalypse. Iron blood heavy industry. Buying every vehicle blueprint and rare part at top prices. Best mechanics and gunsmiths on the server. Evil Wolf Guild. Only the weak huddle for warmth, the stronger predators. Recruiting outlaws for murder and robbery. Also paying high for the coordinates of fat sheep players. The 4 great guilds, taking shape, so Joe Cheamba is the first level 4 vehicle owner in Region C. 996. I am not surprised guilds formed. Humans are pack animals. Numbers do equal strength, and if I did not have the golden trait per level, I might have joined one of them too. With my cheat, I do not need to. Founding my own is also out. Managing an organization is a different kind of job. And per survival rule 2, items on a vehicle cannot be stolen and players cannot be harmed inside their vehicle. So hiring a few employees is perfectly safe whenever I need hands. I post the same message 7 or 8 times in a row. Buying armored bulletproof steel, item trading available. Private message for price. An hour later I have 20 units, and I have burned 5 units of universal fuel to keep posting. A seller mentions it offhand. Iron Blood Heavy Industry and Bachian Alliance are both running aggressive buy orders on aviation special steel and fire control chips, paying anything. Of course they are. Guilds suck good materials out of ordinary players' hands the moment they appear. Top-tier resources concentrate on one champion driver who upgrades first, who then drags the rest of the guild up. That is how level 3 cars hit the server this fast. Other players who want to climb have to join. My face goes cold. I have been ignoring the area channel and I have missed too much. Since I cannot buy steel for now, I buy bullets. The axe gun has exactly 1 round in it and I am twitchy about that. I post a permanent buy order for axe gun special bullets. Trade for items. Private message for price. Within 10 seconds, a female player private messages me. She tells me her name on the channel is So Chongan and asks if I have antibiotics. She offers 9 axe gun rounds for 1 bottle. I think for a second and reply. I tell her I have some, but 9 bullets is too low. Antibiotics are rare. She comes back with 15, her limit. I haggle her up. We settle at 30 axe gun bullets for 1 bottle of antibiotics. The trade closes. I look at 30 fresh rounds in inventory. Where is she pulling 30 axe gun bullets from? I message her back. I tell her I will pay for the information, which channel she got them from. 10 minutes later she replies. She tells me she does know, and if I have more antibiotics she will tell me. I tell her I have only 1 bottle left. I am still a normal human under all this armor. An infected scratch and no antibiotic equals slow death. I am keeping 1 for myself. I offer her 1 unit of universal fuel for the information. She counters with 10. I tell her 1 is my ceiling, and I have no idea if her information is even real. She calls me a profiteer. Then she tells me in advance that the place is very dangerous, and if I cannot get in or I die, I am not allowed to blame her. I tell her not to worry. She gives me the coordinates. Abandoned Armory, Area C, 996, 87.9, 28.2. An abandoned arsenal. There is such a place. My pulse jumps. If it is so good, why did she leave it? What is the danger? I send her 1 unit of universal fuel and ask for the rest. She tells me it is a zombie nest. 1 tier 2 zombie and over 100 tier 1 zombies inside. How she got back out alive, she does not say. I close the chat with So Chang'an and sit with it. 3 problems. 1. The information could be fake. If it is real, I will be facing a tier 2 zombie, and I do not know a tier 2 stats yet, and I do not know if my recreational vehicle holds against 1. 2. So Chang'an may have sold the same coordinates to other players, meaning I could roll up to find a guild convoy already on top of it. 3. The whole thing could be a setup. In the apocalypse, monsters are dangerous, but they do not scheme. Players are the actual problem. 5 minutes. I decide. The coordinates are over 300 kilometers out. I will drive there first and judge the situation on arrival. Aviation Special Steel is the rate limiter on level 3, and I cannot keep buying scraps from sellers being outbid by guilds. An abandoned arsenal, if it is real, is exactly the kind of place that drops armored bulletproof steel. I open the area channel one more time and post a buy order for grenades, mines, and firearms, paying in universal fuel, food, and medicine. Heavy firepower for my body in case the recreational vehicle is not enough. System closed. Foot on the gas. Destination abandoned armory. 200 kilometers in, the endless wasteland starts giving way to derelict buildings. 50 kilometers short of the armory, I find a dead gas station. The fuel dispensers are pried open, hollow, and even the underground tank covers are blown off. Scavenged dry. I roll the recreational vehicle under the canopy and park. I am not low on fuel, ever, but 8 straight hours of high-speed driving has my shoulders locked. I need air. I also need to scrape the smeared zombie meat off the alloy spike ramming horn before the rot smell starts pulling through the air conditioner intake and chips at my sanity. Cleaning the car is more annoying than killing zombies. I grab a bucket of water and a brush and hop down. The wash water runs black and red into the gutter as I scrub. Then an engine coughs into the silence. A rusted Wuling Hongguang minivan wobbles into the lot, exhaust black as soot. The door opens and a man steps out. Bald gray jacket soaked in grease, sunken eyes, thin frame, the face of a calculating petty city dweller. He sees my black assault platform and his eyes light up like he's looking at his own father. He calls me boss, calls me a real big shot. He rubs his hands, jogs over and lays a smile on me so thick the wrinkles in it could crush a fly. He tells me the recreational vehicle is too domineering, must weigh several tons, zombies must turn into paste against it. I keep scrubbing. He is not put off. He leans in closer and reaches out to touch the armor. I tell him not to move. It is quiet, but it stops his hand mid-air. He pulls back with a sheepish grin and tries again, calling me little brother now, asking if I need an extra hand. He thumps his own chest and introduces himself as Wang Gu. He tells me he was a chef for years. His cooking is excellent and he knows car maintenance, oil changes, tire fixes, the whole thing. He says driving alone must be exhausting. He eats little and works hard. He will sleep on the floor if I want. While he talks, he peeks past my half-open door into the cabin. The air-conditioned warmth and the faint cabin scent hit him and his eyes go greedy. I do not even need to guess what he is comparing it to. His leaking, heaterless, brick-stiff Wuling Hongguang is parked 20 feet away. If he can latch onto this thigh, he eats well for the rest of the run. I stop scrubbing and turn. If I were an ordinary player, I might be moved. I am not an ordinary player. I grew up scrapping in a real city. I know exactly what this kind of man is. I point at my tires and ask him, half smiling, if he knows what kind of tires those are. He freezes, looks at the 4 glowing dark gold wheels, and stammers that they look like high-grade run-flat tires. I laugh once, cold, and dump the dirty water onto the asphalt. I tell him he has no value to me. I tell him to get lost. One word, no padding. The smile freezes off Wang Gu's face. He did not think I would refuse him outright. He tries to slide back in, telling me one more friend means one more road. I draw the axe gun from my hip and hear it click. I tell him I do not lack friends. I only lack targets. Does he want to try? A flash of venomous hate crosses his eyes, before he masters it. He grits out, fine, fine, you are the man. I will not bother you anymore, and scurries back to the minivan. The Wuling Hongguang belches black smoke and shrinks down the road. I holster and go back to scrubbing. This kind of interlude is daily traffic at this point. What I do not see is Wang Gu pulling off the road 2 kilometers later behind an earthen slope. He slams the steering wheel of the minivan. The grease-thick fawning is gone. What is left is twisted hate. He spits that I think I am hot just because I lucked into a recreational vehicle. He swears he will make me spit it all up. He opens the world channel, finds an evil wolf guild member, and sends a private message. He says he wants to report. He has found a fat sheep. A few seconds later, the reply. The contact's handle reads, Guak Yang. Guak Yang asks him what kind of target. Wang Gu tells him a black heavy-duty recreational vehicle, probably level 3, single owner, the cabin packed full of supplies. He saw it himself. He gives the coordinates. Area C. 99687.3, 28.9, near the gas station. There's a pause on the other end. Guak Yang asks him if he is sure. 1 man, 1 heavy-duty recreational vehicle. Wang Gu swears on it. He saw it with his own eyes. The car is monstrously tough. Even the tires glow. He asks for 5, no 10 units of universal fuel as a reward if it is real. Guak Yang accepts. He tells Wang Gu to keep eyes on the target and not let him slip away. 10 units of universal fuel if the lead pays out. Wang Gu reads the screen and smiles. Finally, the smile that was waiting under the fawning one. He hisses at the empty cab that since the kid looked down on him, he will personally introduce him to the King of Hell. Half an hour later, I roll up to the edge of the abandoned armory. The place sits in the middle of nowhere, which is exactly what I wanted. Most of the buildings have collapsed into themselves. Only a handful of factory shells still stand, leaning like drunks. I pick up the civilian telescope I lifted off a dead zombie earlier and scan the compound. A high red brick wall rings the whole site, choked with dead vines, topped with rusted barbed wire that probably used to be electrified. Inside, decaying shapes drift around with no purpose, just gravity and hunger holding them upright. Zombies, plenty of them. But I don't see anything that looks like a tier 2. I sit there weighing whether it's worth driving deeper in. Then a cloud of dust kicks up in my rear view. Engines. A lot of them. Coming in hot. I check the mirror. 8 modified off-road motorcycles are peeling out from behind a gray heavy-duty pickup, fanning around me like a pack of mad dogs. They lock the formation in seconds. Machetes, chains, road spikes. 2 of them sling road spikes across the asphalt right in front of my hood, sealing the road. So much for being remote. My eyes go to the pickup. Crude steel plates welded all over the body, a 7.62mm vehicle-mounted machine gun bolted to the roof, a blood-red wolf head emblem painted on the door. Only level 3 vehicles can mount external weapons, so that thing is level 3. The pickup growls up to the front of the formation. The driver's side window rolls down, and a burly middle-aged guy with a fleshy slab of a face leans out, grinning like a cat that already has the mouse pinned. Guak Yang, small-time captain of the Evil Wolf Guild. In the old world, he was a professional thug doing time for aggravated assault. The apocalypse handed him a get-out-of-jail-free card and a megaphone. He's still holding both. He lifts the megaphone and announces that I have been surrounded by the Evil Wolf Guild, that he likes my car and will be taking it, and that if I'm smart, I'll climb out, hand over the keys, leave the supplies, and crawl away with his blessing. The bikers around him sneer right on cue, like the recreational vehicle is already theirs. These weren't good people in the old world either. I'm not scared. If anything, I'm a little grateful. I was just sitting here wondering how to deal with the zombies inside the armory, and now somebody delivered me a truckload of cannon fodder. I roll the window down a finger's width and ask him, light as small talk, what happens if I don't? Guak Yang stares for a second, then howls with laughter. He tells his brothers to show me their weapons. The bikers raise machetes, light Molotovs, level pistols at my windshield. I look at all of it and smile wider. They want to blow out my tires. Cute. I ask if they really think they're worthy. Then I shift into D. The recreational vehicle lets out a roar that rearranges someone's stomach. I floor it. The motorcycle in front of me has maybe half a heartbeat to react. He doesn't get even that much. The recreational vehicle eats road spikes like gravel, eats the bike like tinfoil, eats the rider like a speed bump. Then I'm past, accelerating toward the armory. Guak Yang's voice cracks through the megaphone, screaming at his crew to chase. He clearly didn't read the room on my recreational vehicle. I floor the accelerator and the speedometer climbs to 80 kilometers per hour. I could go faster, but I want the pickup to stay in range. Behind me, Guak Yang slaps the machine gunner on the back and tells him to blow out the glowing tire, the one with the special trait, so I learned what it means to have nowhere to run. The gunner opens up. The dense bullet stream slams into the rear of the recreational vehicle. Smoke, dust, sparks. My recreational vehicle does not slow down. The armory's main gate looms up. It's a slab of iron heavy enough to hold against a zombie horde. I do not slow down for that either. The gate folds like a cookie under the front horn. Behind me, I hear Guak Yang swallow into his megaphone, the greed in his voice doubling. He tells his brothers to charge, that I cannot escape, that the recreational vehicle is going to be his. The Evil Wolf Guild follows me through the broken gate like sharks chasing blood, and the second they cross the threshold, they meet the welcoming committee. Dozens of zombies turn toward the noise at the same time. The bikers were so focused on chasing me that they forgot to scout. Now they're inside a fenced kill box with no road back. One of them gets pounced before he can pull his trigger. He screams for Brother Yang to save him. The agility type pinning him does not give him the time. Guak Yang's face goes flat. He has already lost sight of my recreational vehicle. He's also surrounded. He snorts and tells himself these are only first-tier zombies, that his level 3 pickup can grind through them, that they're just walking experience. Then the workshop roars. Not a zombie roar, a deeper one. The kind that comes from something with weight. Then a second roar, a third, the roars of hungry things that have just smelled meat. The ground starts to thump. Guak Yang turns his head toward the sound and his face drains. A wave of ordinary zombies pours out of the workshop. At the front of the wave is a behemoth nearly 3 meters tall, muscles like piled stones, skin a dark metallic blue-green, dragging a snapped I-beam behind it like a club. My panel reads it for me. Strength type zombie, tier 2, strength 80, defense extremely high, agility 15, a fist that can flatten a taxi. Guak Yang's voice cracks all the way up. He's screaming at his driver to back up. It's too late. The gate is already jammed shut by his own crew's bikes, and the first-tier zombies pouring out behind them. I parked the recreational vehicle on a raised platform on the far side of the lot. From up there, I have a perfect seat. I crack open a can of cola and watch through the bulletproof glass. You wanted my recreational vehicle. Next life, do your homework first. The heavy machine gun on the pickup spits fire. The bullets hit the tier 2 strength type and barely manage to splash a few drops of blood off its hide. What they do manage is to make it angry. It roars, throws the I-beam like a javelin. The I-beam catches a biker mid-turn and folds him and his bike into the same puddle. Screams and gunfire fill the whole armory. I take another sip of cola. The fight doesn't last long. The bikers go under the zombie tide in pieces. The pickup keeps firing, the machine gun chattering non-stop, but it cannot put the tier 2 down. It only enrages it more. Guak Yong is roaring into the cab that he refuses to accept this. Big fist. Hood. The front of the pickup caves in. Black smoke starts pouring from the engine. Then the tier 2 grabs the driver door, peels it off like the top of a chip bag, and drags Guak Yong out by his collar. He starts to plead. The snap cuts him off mid-syllable. I set the cola down. My turn to clean up. I crank the engine. The 4 indestructible tires bite the asphalt. The horde is still busy chewing on the evil wolf guild. The tier 2 is gnawing on Guak Yong's leg, both of its own legs still slow from the machine gun rounds it ate earlier. This is the window. I release the brake and floor the accelerator down the slope of the platform. The recreational vehicle launches off like a black meteor. The slope adds everything to the math. There's no technique, no finesse, just mass and velocity meeting a target that didn't see it coming. The tier 2 looks up just in time to be confused. The alloy spike ramming horn meets it at full speed. The impact is 10 times louder than the gate going in. The tier 2 gets thrown back into the brick wall hard enough to take half the wall down with it. Before it can stand, I drift into reverse. The meat grinder spikes on the rear wheels, chew its legs into red paste. The bones snap with a satisfying crispness. It howls, tries to swing the I-beam. Scream all you want. Let's see how many you've got in you. I shift again and ram it. The chest caves. Reverse. Ram again. The skull goes like a rotten watermelon. Then the world is quiet. A panel rolls across my vision. First kill on a tier 2 zombie. Drops. A vehicle advancement blueprint. Level 3 to level 4. A primary gene strengthening serum. Marked rare. I stare at both items for a second longer than I'd admit. But I don't grab them yet. There are still first tier zombies in the lot, and as long as a living human is standing here, they'll keep filing in. I'd rather clear them now and loot in peace. I take a breath and start grinding through the rest. First tier zombies have no intelligence, only the instinct to feed, so they keep coming. So I keep flattening them. Half an hour later, the armory goes quiet for real. I push the door open and step down onto wet asphalt that used to be people. The smell turns my stomach. The panel pings me. Sanity -3. It actually deducted my sanity over this. I cover my nose and head inside before it can dock me anything else. I move through the empty factory shelves. Most of them are picked clean. Then I find the armory itself. When I see the shelves, I forget to breathe for a second. I've struck it rich. Crates of unopened military ammunition stacked floor to chest. The panel reads them off like a Christmas list. 3,000 rounds of axe gun ammunition in 30 crates. 500 anti-tank mines in 10 crates. 1,000 grenades in 10 crates. And in the back, on a shelf labeled raw materials area, a stack of metal ingots throwing back cold silver light. 500 units of armored bulletproof steel. Ultra high-strength alloy, the preferred material for armored vehicle frames. I run my fingers across the ingots and feel my hand actually shake. I came here hoping to scrape together the 90 units of special steel I needed. The abandoned armory just handed me a multiplier. Then I look back at my recreational vehicle and the math hits me. The level 2 heavy duty had 12 cubic meters of livable interior. Even now with the bed cleared, every flat surface is buried in instant noodles, water bottles and scavenged junk. The new ammunition could barely squeeze under the bed, let alone 500 units of steel. And once I burn the upgrade blueprint, the recreational vehicle loses its current ability to store its own upgrade materials in the cargo bay anyway. Outside, the wreck of Guak Yong's pickup is also worth dismantling. More materials I can't carry. I rub my forehead. I can't take it all. There's no version of this where I take it all. I'm a mouse that fell into a rice vat and finally realized my stomach only holds so much. Then I look back at the black recreational vehicle. If I can't take it all, then I'll just have to upgrade first. The panel obliges. Vehicle advancement plan, level 2 to level 3. Plan B, the perfect version. Armored bulletproof steel, 100 units, requirement met. Precision electronic components, 10 sets, requirement met. Fire control chip, 1 unit, requirement met. I tell it to begin evolution. The familiar dark gold light comes up. This time it has a bloody undertone bleeding through it. War machine color. The alloy ingots in the warehouse seem to hear a summons. They turn liquid and pour themselves up into the recreational vehicle's frame. Metal screams against metal as the body grows. Longer, wider, lower, heavier. The chassis stabilizes into something closer to a mobile fortress. The armor doubles, reactive armor blocks bloom across the surface, the kind you only see on actual tanks. The biggest change is on the roof. The empty weapon mount finally has work to do. Mechanical arms extend, armor plates lock into place, and a pitch-black gun barrel 2 meters long rises into firing position. 25mm caliber. Heavy chain autocannon. No more leaning out a sunroof to operate a crude machine gun. This one has fire control radar and runs from inside the cabin. 10 minutes later, the light dies down. A black steel beast sits in the middle of the warehouse, throwing off a cold, grim weight. The panel updates. Recreational vehicle, level 3. Physical defense, 200, up from 100. Qualitative shift, even an ordinary rocket-propelled grenade will struggle to penetrate. Magic resistance, 0. Tonnage, 20 cubic meters, up from 10. Durability, 100%. Fuel, infinite. External weapon, M330 Great Hornet Chain Autocannon, 25mm 200 rounds per minute. Effective range 2,500 meters. 20 tons. With that mass I can plow through a zombie tide on cruise control. But that's not the part I'm holding my breath for. The panel pings. Talent triggered. Drawing the level 3 golden trait. Here it comes. The golden roulette starts to spin in front of me, faster than I can track. Symbols flicker too fast to read. Then a chime, and the wheel stops. The card hangs in the air, glowing. Trait, space folding. Quality, golden legend. Type, rule-based. Grants the vehicle storage compartment the property of Sumeru mustard seed. Effects, 100,000 times. Current capacity, 100,000 cubic meters. 2. Absolute freshness. Time stands still for items placed inside. Nothing spoils. 3. Permission lock. The host is the only one who can put things in or take them out. 4. Intelligent collection, automatic material pickup. I say a word I won't write down. 100,000 cubic meters, a standard shipping container is 30. That is more than 3,000 containers. That is the cargo hold of a mid-sized freighter folded into a closet next to my bed. This is not a storage locker. This is a whole logistics center riding shotgun with me. My hands are shaking. Why would I ever worry about supplies again? Forget 500 units of steel. I could pack the entire armory and the tank wrecks outside it and barely smudge a corner. I assign the target. The recreational vehicle storage locker. A beam of gold light sinks into the boring plastic cabinet beside the bed. From the outside, nothing changes. I open the lid. The inside isn't a narrow black hole anymore. It's a different dimension space with no edges I can see, glowing faint white. Fantastic. I turn around and look at the mountain of supplies and tell the storage to collect. The steel, the ammunition, the mines, the grenades. All of it lifts and pours into the cabinet like dust into a vacuum. Tons disappear in seconds. The panel keeps a running ledger. Armored bulletproof steel, 400 units. Axe gun ammunition, 3,000 rounds. Grenades, 1,000 units. Mines, 500 units. I take the shelves too. They're iron, they'll smelt. Then I walk out to the lot. Guakyong's totaled pickup. The crashed bikes. Loose dropped gear from the zombies. Dismantle the pickup. Dismantle the bikes. The panel logs steel 90 units, rubber 15 units. Electronic components 10 sets. Collect everything else. Mineral water, sacks of Wuchang rice, soy sauce, peanut oil, lard, a complete set of A Will Eternal in physical print. The first 3 Dragon Raja volumes. Tomatoes, cucumbers, on and on. Apparently somebody died holding a paperback. The storage doesn't judge. 10 minutes and the Armory Plaza is empty. The slaughterhouse looks swept. I pat the recreational vehicle's flank. Time to leave. There's nothing left here worth staying for. The level 3 armed recreational vehicle lets out a low roar, crushes one last piece of gravel under a tire, and rolls out the broken gates. The setting sun throws a long, long shadow. Inside the storage bin, I'm carrying enough ammunition to outfit a reinforced infantry company, and a different dimension full of the raw materials to build a small city. Outside the armory, behind a low earthen rise, a beat-up Wuling Hongguang minivan is parked off the shoulder. Wanggu is slumped over the steering wheel. His hand is locked around a walkie-talkie that hasn't given him a signal in 20 minutes. His forehead is wet with cold sweat. Why is there still no movement? He can't raise Guakyong either. Guakyong and the rest have been in there for almost an hour. The gunfire and the screams stopped a long time ago. Something has gone wrong. He's the one who sold Guakyong my coordinates. Guakyong had promised him 10 units of universal fuel out of the score, and he had planned to roll in and grab scraps after the fat sheep was butchered. If the fuel didn't show up, he was going to expose the evil wolf guild to the regional channel for refusing to pay finder's fees. Now the silence is filling him up with something worse than greed. He decides he'll go check. Then he hears the engine, a low, heavy growl rolling out of the broken gate. Wanggu raises his binoculars. A second later, he drops them onto his lap. Under the bleeding sunset, a black steel behemoth, bigger and meaner than the one that drove in, is rolling out alone. Longer, taller, dragon-scaled with reactive armor, a turret slowly rotating on the roof, the barrel catching the last of the daylight like a knife. Behind it there is no pickup, no bikes, nobody. Wanggu's legs go to water. Anyone with eyes can read the box score. Guak Yong and his whole crew are gone. He starts the smoke-belching minivan and tries to peel away. Inside the cabin, I sit in the new high-tech driver's seat. The holographic screen lights up with a red crosshair already centered on the Wuling Hongguang. Fire control radar reads it for me. Light vehicle, 1,450 meters. Hit rate, 100%. So it really is you. I was wondering how the evil wolf guild found me out here. I watched the minivan scrabble for traction. The recreational vehicle hums under me, cold and steady. Perfect. I'll calibrate the new turret with you. Single shot. Aim for the fuel tank. No hesitation. I press it. A heavy thump goes through the cabin. The body barely vibrates. A 25mm armor-piercing round leaves the barrel with a piercing shriek. Over a kilometer away, Wanggu is whispering to nobody, telling whoever's listening not to kill him, not to kill him. Then his windshield turns into a fireball. The Wuling Hongguang comes apart in pieces, burning wreckage scattering across the wasteland like a death flower opening. The panel pings. Sanity +3. Refreshing. The 3 points the zombies cost me are back in the bank. 1 shot, 1 kill. That accuracy, that punch. The materials earn their keep. I don't slow down. I drive the recreational vehicle straight over the burning frame and roll on down the highway. Inside the cabin, it's a constant 26 Celsius. Soft jazz is playing through the speakers. I crack a chilled cola and pull up the regional channel. The world channel is still a sob of voices. Someone is begging for water. Someone got their tires shot out by a white mutant beast and is stuck on the road watching it walk closer. Someone above them tells them nobody is going to stop. Not now. Someone else says they saw a long-tailed mutant species near them too, like the long white spikes from the Tomorrow War, and they only got away because they ran. Someone has a fever from a scratch and wants to know if anyone has a folk remedy. I shake my head. Apocalypse standard menu. Hunger, cold, sickness, monsters. Most of them are still fighting just to keep breathing while I'm sitting in an armored fortress trying to figure out how to spend a mountain. Then a few pinned bounties scroll past and slow me down. Bachion Alliance is buying Gene Potion at top price. Bring them a bottle, walk out a Vice Leader. Rose Society is recruiting players who have awakened to specialization, strength, or reconnaissance. Female only, meals guaranteed. A mystery buyer is offering 30 units of universal fuel for a single primary Gene Potion. Private message only. Gene Potion. So the top-tier players have already met the supernatural side of this world. Vehicles can only carry you so far. Human bodies are still tissue paper. That is the bottleneck everyone is hitting at the same time, and that is why the big shots are tearing each other apart over potions. It just so happens I have one in my pocket. I pull out the primary Gene Potion the Tier 2 strength type dropped. Deep blue liquid moves slow inside the glass tube glowing. The panel reads it for me. Primary Gene Potion. Extraordinary item. Quality rare. Effect comprehensively strengthens physical fitness. Physique +10. Side effect. Intense pain during injection. Pain, compared to being chewed alive by a Tier 1 zombie. I'll take it. I push the needle into the vein on the inside of my arm and depress the plunger. Ice floods my veins. Then the ice turns to lava. I clamp my teeth. Veins fork up on my forehead. Pain. The kind that goes past skin and muscle and into bone. Every cell feels like it's being unmade and restitched at the same time. It lasts 5 full minutes. When it finally falls away, it leaves something behind I haven't felt since I got into this world. A clean, light, dangerous sense of power. I open my eyes. My body hasn't gotten any bigger. I'm not a bodybuilder, but every line of muscle is suddenly tight and smooth, packed with explosive energy. The panel updates. Physique, 15, up from 5. Combat assessment equivalent to a well-trained soldier. This feeling, I could put down 5 grown men single-handed. I probably still can't take a zombie one-on-one. A few more potions and I will. I post my own buy order on the regional channel. 40 units of universal fuel or equivalent medicine for any Gene Potion. 10 units higher than the mystery buyer. Then the radar squeals. Not a zombie, not a player. A massive dark red signal. I look up. Through the binoculars, on the wasteland a few kilometers ahead, there's a main battle tank parked sideways on the shoulder. Real military steel, camouflage paint, the works. Its turret is venting black smoke. 2 white bone spikes the size of spears are punched deep into its armor. One has gone clean through the treads. On a rock above the dead tank, watching it cool, is a slender white thing covered in bone plates, all spines and ribs, shaped a little like a xenomorph. Warning, the panel says. Mutant species creature. Name, White Thorn. Tier 3. Monster attributes and skill information are not provided for monsters of Tier 3 or higher. Discover them on your own. Attributes withheld. I look at my recreational vehicle's 200 defense. I look at the 25mm autocannon I just bolted on. I look at the dead tank. I make the call. Study the White Thorn. Try to kill it. A Tier 3 drop is going to be worth the trouble. I crank the wheel. The black-armed fortress leaves the highway and rolls slowly toward the White Thorn. easing to a stop right inside the autocannon's effective range. I cut the brakes 2 kilometers from the white thorn. The scope brings it in close. It really does look like an upgraded version of the alien mimic from the Tomorrow War. White bony carapace head to tail, long sharp limbs, long whipping tail. It's batting the dead tank around like a cat with a paper ball, sending a bone spike off its tail every few seconds, and clanging it off the cooked armor. The tank's turret is jammed. Transmission is shot. A section of tread is gone. It's a sitting duck. Tier 3 mutant species. I rest my fingers on the fire control joystick. No attribute panel. Fine. As long as it has a health bar and it's carbon-based, the 25mm autocannon has an answer. If it doesn't, I have 199 more answers behind the first one. The M330 Great Hornet was loaded with 200 armor-piercing rounds. I burned 1 calibrating on Wangyu. That should still be plenty. Let's test. I flipped the firing mode to single shot and put the crosshair on the white thorn's head. Pull. The round leaves the barrel. At 2 kilometers for a high-velocity autocannon, bullet drop isn't even worth calculating. The white thorn's reaction speed is impossible. The shell is half a breath from its skull when its body suddenly torques sideways. The headshot misses by a hair. The round hits its back. Green blood sprays. Then I see the wound stitch itself shut. Granulation tissue rolls across the hole, healing in real time. In less than 2 seconds, there isn't even a scar. Super speed regeneration. That's worse than a zombie's headshot-only rule. To put this one down, I'm going to need to either stack damage fast enough to outrun the regen, or find the core and unmake it in one shot. Every monster has a weakness. That's the rule. The white thorn shrieks, a sound like a saw through bone. It whips its featureless face toward the recreational vehicle. The mouth slit opens. It is officially angry. It drops to all fours and explodes into a streak of white. It's fast. Twice as fast as a tier 1 agility type. The 2 kilometers between us start collapsing under it. Come on then. The straighter you run, the easier you are to shoot. At 800 meters, it stops dead and snaps its tail. A half-meter bone spike, screaming through the air, comes at me like a missile. It hits the reactive armor on the nose of the recreational vehicle. Sparks fountain. The strike sound is a metallic crack big enough to feel in my chest. It doesn't punch through the steel, but it leaves 2 deep pits on the surface, and the metal around them starts smoking and hissing. Warning: armor damaged. Defense minus 2%. Highly corrosive toxin detected. Penetration like that, plus acid. If I let the white thorn get close enough to use its claws and tail at point blank, even a level 3 recreational vehicle won't hold for long. It does not come within arm's reach. Decision made. I tell the fire control radar to enable auto scan. Command confirmed. A red scanning grid overlays the white blur on the holoscreen. I watch how it moves. It jukes, it switches direction, it bounds, but every time it pivots, it angles its body in a particular way, keeping its hard back carapace turned to me. Every time it does, it's protecting one spot on its right flank. There. A small patch of carapace. There is a shade lighter than the rest. Found you. By now, the white thorn is at 500 meters. It senses the recreational vehicle isn't firing, and assumes I'm frozen in fear, which is exactly what I wanted to assume. It lets out a triumphant shriek and surges to top speed, winding up to leap onto the roof and peel the cabin open. Now, I flip the firing mode to full auto and press the trigger. The chain gun on the roof opens up like a thunderclap. 200 rounds per minute. It weaves a wall of fire in the air. Not single shots. A wall. 17 armor-piercing rounds leave the barrel in 5 seconds. The white thorn in midair freezes. It tries to dodge left and right, but left, right, and forward are all sealed. There is no technique. There is only being drowned in metal. Rounds smash into its legs and shoulders. Green mist explodes off it. The regeneration is still working, but the raw kinetic energy is too much to ignore. Its body stiffens in the air, just for a heartbeat. That heartbeat is enough. 1 round lands square on the lighter patch of carapace on its right flank. The carapace shatters like a glass plate. The round goes inside. Then it detonates. The white thorn jerks and its midsection comes apart. The torso splits halfway across. Organs and bone fragments spray out in a green arc. Its momentum carries it forward, tumbling end over end across the ground a dozen times, before it slams into a boulder. It's still moving. The granulation tissue is twitching at the severed waist, trying to reach across the gap and reconnect. Tenacious. I drop the firing mode back to single shot and press the trigger one more time. The shell hits the right flank again. This time there is nothing left to regenerate. Panel. Congratulations. First kill on a tier 3 mutant species. White thorn. Drops. Universal bullets times 200. Primary gene potion times 1. Potent antibiotics, rare, times 1. Treats mutant species viral infections. Then a second chime. Congratulations. Player Im Hui has achieved first kill of a tier 3 monster. Full screen announcement. A bonus drops in. Intermediate gene potion, 1 bottle. The regional channel detonates. The last full screen announcement was Joe Chiamba being the first player to push his vehicle to level 4. He used that announcement to found the Bachian Alliance. Now it's my name on every screen in the area. Private messages start avalanching in from the 4 major guilds, from the smaller guilds, from random small crews. Half are recruitment pitches, half are buy offers on my intermediate gene potion. I close the regional channel and flip it to do not disturb. Then I look at the white thorn's torn open carcass and ease my grip off the warm joystick. Tier 3 monster. Genuinely hard to kill. Compared to a Tier 2 zombie, it's at least 10 times stronger. What happens when I run into a Tier 4 mutant species? That thought puts a familiar cold weight back in my chest. The recreational vehicle has to keep climbing. More golden traits. More upgrades. That is the only road out of this highway survival game alive. A single bone spur is still embedded in my front reactive armor. A souvenir from the white thorn. That one spur cost me 2% defense. I do not get out. I roll the recreational vehicle up beside the corpse and trigger auto loot, sweeping the pile of organs, crystals, and shards into my different dimension. Then I turn my gaze on the stalled main battle tank. Now that is a fat piece of meat. The tracks are snapped, the turret is jammed, but those dozen-plus tons of military-grade armored steel are the real deal. Dismantle it, and my special steel reserves jump in one stroke. I park the recreational vehicle alongside the wreck and reach for the dismantle command. A grinding scrape of metal cuts me off. The hatch on top of the tank pops, then peels open a crack. A fair hand pushes it the rest of the way, and a young girl in a padded jacket hauls herself out, face streaked with oil, coughing hard. The heat inside that steel coffin must have been hell. She looks 18, maybe 19. Her eyes find mine through the windshield. She asks if there really is still someone alive inside this vehicle. That throws me. I had assumed whoever was in that tank had been shaken to paste or starved out days ago. Her gaze sweeps the recreational vehicle, the autocannon still ticking with residual heat on the roof, and finally the dead white thorn. Then she asks if I am Im Hui, the player from the global announcement. She had seen the broadcast. She just had not expected the killer to look this young. I sit there weighing whether to bait her out and dismantle the tank anyway. She leans against the turret, voice rasping, and tells me her name is So Chungan, and that she owes me thanks for the save. So Chungan. The name twitches in my memory. The trading channel. The player who bartered axe gun specialized rounds for my antibiotics. Same name. Of course she survived the abandoned armory. A tank driver would. I tell her not to mention it. My voice stays cold and I do not open the door. I tell her I killed the rank 3 for my own reasons, and that her tank simply happened to interest me. Since she is still alive, I will leave it intact. I move to shift gears. Dismantle requires the owner dead. So Chongan is alive, so the tank is off the table. Killing her for steel is technically an option. I cannot make myself do it. Resources matter in the apocalypse, but a conscience matters too. Lose it, and you are just a walking corpse with a kill count. She panics when she sees me about to roll out. She slides off the tank, stumbles to my front bumper, and throws her arms wide to block me. The tracks are snapped, the drive shaft is wrecked, the tank is not moving. She begs for a ride, and she insists she can pay. I step on the brake and look down at her from the driver's seat. Oil smeared like a kitten dragged out of an engine bay, and still her eyes are bright. No groveling. She wants to negotiate as an equal. I ask what she thinks she can pay me with. I tell her I am not short on food, water, or universal fuel. I look her up and down and tell her that if she is offering her body or her face, I am not in the market for a trophy girl. She bites her lip and tells me she is not a trophy girl. Then she steadies herself and tells me she has awakened a specialization. Specialization. I have seen the 4 major guilds advertising for those on the regional channel. She flicks her panel open for me to read. Name, So Chongan. Specialization, machinery, rank 1. Born with an affinity for mechanical structures, a natural mechanic, vehicle repair and modification and dismantling all sped up. Now that is interesting. She catches the flicker in my eyes and pushes immediately. She points at the bone spur in my reactive armor and tells me she can fix it. She walks to the front of the recreational vehicle, taps the pit the white thorn carved, and warns me the rank 3 toxin will seep into the alloy and ruin the plate in 3 days if I leave it. A toolbox flashes into her hand out of nowhere. She produces a wrench and an unmarked spray can and goes to work on the pit. White smoke hisses up. Green bubbles dry to nothing. A few wrench taps later, the plate is gleaming alloy again. The system pings me. Vehicle defense restored to 100%. I am genuinely impressed. Way more useful than the standard wrench monkeys who only know how to spin lug nuts. The monsters are only going to get worse, and combat damage is only going to get more frequent. I do not know how to fix cars. A top-tier mechanic on retainer for logistics is not the worst thing in the world. I tell her she has some skill, but I do not open the door yet. I point at the tank and tell her that comes with the deal too. She sighs and agrees. The core is broken, she could repair it with parts she does not have, and she has no leverage anyway. I dismantle the tank. 150 units of special steel, 30 sets of electronic components. Nice. The armored door pops open. Get in, I tell her. She scrambles up the steps before I can change my mind. The moment she clears the threshold, she freezes like she has stepped from hell into heaven. The door seals. Cold wind. Dead meat stench. All gone. 26 degrees Celsius of warm air on her face. The cabin smells faintly of lemon, not blood. A roomy living area. Leather booth sofas, polished floor, a water dispenser breathing steam. On the table, a half-finished can of cola and a torn-open bag of potato chips. She looks at her oil-black hands. She looks at the five-star hotel I drive around in. She asks, half to herself, whether what she was living before was even fit for a human being. I catch her dazed reflection in the rear view and let the corner of my mouth lift. I tell her to stop daydreaming, go take a shower and wash the gasoline stink off, because I do not like the smell in my cabin. A shower, she repeats, eyes going wide at the frosted glass stall in the corner. She asks if I can really shower here. I do not answer. I shift into drive and roll forward. The water shuts off about 10 minutes later. The frosted door pushes open and warm shower gel air drifts into the cockpit. I glance in the rear view and my gaze sticks. The grease-streaked mechanic from before is gone. In her place is a pure-faced girl wrapped in one of my spare bathrobes. The robe is too big on her, sleeves rolled up several times, forearms showing pale. Her hair washed clean now, falls wet and dark across her shoulders, droplets still dripping from the ends. In the steam, her face reads gentle, southern, soft-cornered eyes drooping just slightly at the outer corners. Skin pink and fresh as a peeled lychee. She cleans up well, I admit privately. In the old world, she would have been collecting love letters by the basketful walking across a campus. She tugs the bathrobe collar tight, feels me looking, and her cheeks flush. She tells me, voice small, that she has finished washing, that her old clothes were too dirty so she threw them in the washing machine, and that they are not dry yet. I tell her it is fine. She looks like a human now. My voice stays flat. I toss a blueprint from the passenger seat at her and tell her to get to work since she has a machinery specialization. She fumbles the catch, expecting a bill of sale, and freezes when she reads it. It is the Vehicle Advancement Blueprint, Level 3 to Level 4. Recreational Vehicle Level 3. Check. High-strength titanium alloy, 200 units needed. Precision electronic components, 30 sets. Check. High-strength titanium alloy, she repeats, looking up sharp. Level 4 already needs titanium alloy. She asks if this recreational vehicle is some kind of cheat. I shift gears and ask if she happens to know where to find some. She breathes in and tells me titanium alloy is rare in scrap passenger cars. But this region used to be an industrial belt, and she knows an abandoned aviation parts factory nearby that should have plenty. She pauses and looks out the window with fear creeping into her eyes. The terrain there is bad, she warns. Collapsed buildings, ruins on ruins, zombie density off the charts. She had not dared push her tank in. Tracks bogged down in rubble, and that is a death sentence. Complex terrain, I echo, tapping the wheel. I tell her to buckle in. I stomp the accelerator. 20 tons of steel beasts leap forward. So Chongan yelps and gets pressed into the leather sofa, asking where I am going. The ruin zone is right ahead. 500 meters out. A continuous belt of collapsed buildings, broken walls, debris, rebar tangles, a scrapped sedan in the mix. Terrain a tank would have to creep around. I floor it harder. 80, 100, 120. She shouts that the tires will burst, that we will roll. Pale as a sheet, hands clamped on the seatbelt, eyes squeezed shut. The crash she expects does not come. Dull, dense impacts. The cabin shivers like a steamroller is crushing pebbles. My tires are indestructible explosion-proof, and constant ground grip keeps the chassis level on any surface. No flip is happening. She cracks one eye. Her jaw nearly hits the floor. The walls in abandoned cars that would scrap a normal vehicle crumple like packing foam against my alloy ramming horn. An SUV in the middle of the road gets punted 10 meters and disintegrates midair. A half-fallen brick wall folds, bricks pinging off the bulletproof glass. I drive one-handed, calm as a Sunday cruise through my own yard. She mutters that the balance on this thing is absolutely broken. As a mechanic, she knows tanks. A Type 59 has to creep through rubble like this, terrified of snagging or pit sticking. And I am out here playing bumper cars in a recreational vehicle. I cut the engine when I find what I want, and point out the window at the SUV I flipped, its chassis and undercarriage exposed. I clear the map. She dismantles. She gets out grumbling internally that I am a monster, that she would not dare drive her tank like this. But a laborer does not get to argue. She wraps the bathrobe tight, grabs the toolbox and goes. The next few hours are the most memorable work shift of her life. I plow ahead, smashing trails through the ruins. Every salvageable wreck I pass, I call out and she leaps out and strips the key parts with her specialization speed. That armored truck on the left, gut it. There is a machine tool in that half-fallen factory on the right. Check it for titanium alloy. Move, the zombies are closing. When blind zombie swarms close in, I do not waste a cannon round. I drift, and the meat grinder spikes on my rear wheels turn the swarm into red slurry in one rotation. She sits in the passenger seat watching the black recreational vehicle move through the dead like they are not even there. Too violent, too safe. For 4 days, she has been living small and scared. This is her first taste of what the world of the strong actually looks like. Night. The wasteland wind goes back to its old razor edge. But beside the recreational vehicle on a leeward rise, warm light spills out. I park us up here and call it a day. The abandoned aviation parts factory is still over 200 kilometers out. Night driving is a gamble I do not need to take. So Chingan trudges up the steps with a toolbox, panting, telling me she is wrecked and complaining that I have absolutely no idea how to be tender with a lady. I ignore the look. I nod approvingly and tell her her efficiency is good. I pull a bottle of mineral water from the fridge, twist the cap and hold it out. Her eyes brighten. She has been thirsty all afternoon, throat smoking. She thanks me, thinking the capitalist boss has a conscience after all, and reaches for it. I stop my hand midair. I point at the alloy ramming horn out the windshield, caked in dark plasma and stinking after a day of grinding through zombies. Who said you could drink it? I ask. I tell her to take the water and rinse the front of the car. The smell is killing my mood. My sanity is about to drop. Her hand freezes. The gratitude on her face cracks like dried paint. She asks me, voice shaking with disbelief, whether I really expect her to use drinking water to wash rotten meat. Water is more precious than gold out here. Even the large guild leaders do not waste mineral water on motor washes. I tell her if not water then what? Spit. I press the bottle into her hand, wave her off, and tell her she does not eat until that ramming horn is clean. She steps out into the wind shivering, raging in her head about capitalists and wicked rich psychopaths and the waste of God's gifts, and ends up unscrewing the cap with tears in her eyes and rationing each drop onto a rag. Every pore bleeds her heart. Purified water, used to wash a car. Half an hour later she pushes back in, fingers stiff, muttering that it is done. Bastard. Then she stops dead. Spicy fragrance hits her like a hook through the soul. Her stomach growls loudly enough to embarrass her. She looks up and sees the small folding table converted into a hot pot station. Red oil rolling, Sichuan peppercorns and dried chilies dancing in the broth. A plate of marbled mutton and beef rolls. Lettuce, enoki mushrooms, luncheon meat. A newly opened can of ice-cold beer beating sweat on the side. I am on the sofa with chopsticks swishing a slice of mutton. 7 up and 8 down, I murmur. Cooked. I dunk it in sesame sauce and eat. She stands in the doorway, brain offline. Hot pot, mutton, cold beer. Out here in the apocalypse where everyone else is gnawing moldy bread and drinking expired water. I glance up and point at the seat opposite. Go shower again, I tell her. Clean up, then eat. She needs a full stomach to work tomorrow. She swallows hard and nods like a doll on a string. After the second shower, she comes out in her own clothes. By the time chopsticks are in her hand, she still has not booted back up. I tell her to eat, and ask if she wants me to feed her. I pour her a beer. She comes back to herself, picks up a slice of luncheon meat, and shoves it in her mouth without checking the temperature. Spice and meat fat go off on her tongue like a firework. The whole day's worth of fear, fatigue, grievance hits her with the first hot bite. She chews, and the tears land pattering on the table. I ask if it is too spicy. She shakes her head and crams more mutton in, talking through it that it is just too good, that she is so happy she could eat hot pot at a time like this, that in the tank she gnawed rock-hard compressed biscuits with cold water until her stomach almost gave out. She asks for more chili. Extra spicy. She cries like a pear blossom in the rain and eats like a reincarnated starving ghost, and the contrast makes me laugh. I push my own plate of mutton in front of her and tell her to slow down. No one is racing her. Water is not a problem. Food is not a problem. As long as she works, she eats meat every day, and I have all the chili she could want. The different dimension is stuffed with food from zombie kills and resource boxes, and nothing rots in there. She looks up at me with red eyes. In that moment, the cold, domineering boss apparently glows like a small god to her. Every day, meat, she asks. Every day, chili. I confirm. She sniffs, swallows the rest of her tears, and nods like she is taking an oath. From now on, she will call me boss. Tomorrow, she will dismantle whatever I point at. If I tell her to disassemble a Gundam, she will go. For Hot Pot, a little work is nothing. The mood thaws. 2 bowls in, she starts talking. She is from Zhejiang. Before all this, she was a freshman at an art academy. After she landed in this game, her luck held for a while. She fell in with a college classmate, Soa, who had awakened to scouting specialization. Her eyes go dim there. They worked well together, her tank, Soa's scouting, until they ran into the evil wolf guild. The wolves pretended to be survivors begging for help. Soa was soft-hearted. The wolves had a rocket launcher. To cover So Chang'an, Soa stayed behind. So Chang'an bites her lip, fingers white around the beer can. The tank, she says, was her last line. Even that was getting thin. If she had not crossed paths with me, the white thorn would have killed her. Or starvation would have. I listen without cutting in and without handing out cheap sympathy. In this apocalypse, this story happens to someone every hour on the hour. The evil wolf guild, I echo. I tell her I have killed a few of theirs already. Consider it collecting interest for her friend. She looks up fast, satisfaction flashing in her eyes, and thanks me again. This one lands realer than the others. I tell her no thanks needed. She is on my vehicle now. That makes her my employee. If she ever sees the specific people who killed Soa, she points them out, and I handle the rest. After a day with her, I have decided. She is useful, easy on the eyes and fast on the job. She nods softly. Originally, she only wanted a lift until she found another vehicle. That plan has changed. Then she remembers something. She pulls a chip from her jacket and hands it across. Electronic map chip for the zombie wasteland. Soa left it to her. I slot it into the dash and the 15-inch screen lights up with marked buildings. The closest one is the abandoned aviation parts factory, exactly as she said. That explains how she pointed me at the abandoned armory before. She had this all along. With this map, I am no longer wandering blind. I left the gray mist far behind days ago. Plenty of runway to harvest materials before the next squeeze. Watching her cry eat her way through the hot pot, I almost want to reward her with a kiss. Picking up So Chungin was a smart move. The hot pot dies down. The cabin is warm. A new problem surfaces. Even after the upgrade, the cabin has exactly one bed, 1.5 meters wide, soft down duvet, the kind of bed you sink into and surrender. She looks at the bed, then at me, and goes red to the ears. Lone man, lone woman, sealed cabin, beer in the system, mood already ambiguous. Her heart starts hammering and she twists the strap of her shirt as a full 80-episode K-drama spools up in her head. If he tries something, does she resist? Or given that he saved her life and fed her hot pot and he is not bad looking and he is strong, does she just... I stand up. I pull a blanket from the cabinet and toss it onto the thick shag rug on the floor. What is she thinking about? I ask. I point at the rug. Employee sleeps on the floor. Boss sleeps in the bed. Her face goes blank. The drama in her head shatters. She looks at the bed, then the rug. The rug is thick. The floor is heated. She is not going to be cold. But this is a deeply straight man move. She mumbles a wounded okay and curls up on the rug with the blanket. I kill the main lights. Only the dim yellow nightlight stays. I lie back, hands behind my head, and tell her to sleep. Early start tomorrow. While she is at it, monitor the regional channel for any upgrade materials or gene potion intel. She murmurs that she knows. I close my eyes and listen to the wind outside and another person's breathing inside. First time there has been someone else in my vehicle. Not bad, actually. Down on the rug, So Chungin peeks open one eye and watches the man's profile by the nightlight. Even on the floor, this is the most peaceful sleep she has had in days. In a dog-eat-dog world, being an employee under a strong man might be the biggest stroke of luck she gets. It is just she thinks, this boss really has no idea how to be tender with a lady. She bites her lower lip indignantly, then catches her mouth pulling into a small curve, and slips into deep sleep. Morning, sunlight through the bulletproof glass, teak floor glowing, no zombie roars, no howling wind. What wakes me is the smell of milk, and the sizzle of eggs in a pan. I sit up in the soft bed, and for a heartbeat I am back in civilization. 24 degrees Celsius, comfortable humidity, slept until I woke on my own. A cheerful voice calls from the kitchenette, asking if the boss is awake. I turn. My gaze hangs. So Chang'an is at the induction cooker. Cabin heating is generous, so she is dressed light and oversized white shirt whose hem barely covers the top of her thighs. Denim shorts underneath. As she moves, a pair of long, pale legs catches the morning light. Her hair is up in a quick ponytail with strands loose at the temples, pure and quietly domestic at once. I tell her good morning, pull the covers back and step onto the rug. She tells me breakfast is almost ready. Hot milk, fried eggs, fresh toast. She found ham in the fridge and sliced 2 pieces. I nod. I left the fridge stocked last night. 10 minutes later, we are at the folding table. Real porcelain plates. Eggs with crispy brown edges and runny yolks. Toast golden, lettuce leaves and cherry tomatoes on the side. Knives and forks placed correctly. A little ceremony in the apocalypse. I cut a piece of bacon, fat aroma blooming on my tongue. I tell her her cooking is good. She thanks me with a small smile, spreads chili oil on her ham, and eats it with obvious pleasure. I open a regional channel while I chew. The mood in there is crushed flat. Current area survivors, 989,450, 2 out of 10 million. Red numbers. Out of 10 million, not even 1 million left. I exhale. She has seen the count too. Her smile dims, eyes turning complicated, hands wrapped around a warm milk cup. She tells me another cold wave hit last night. A lot of people ran out of fuel. The heating died. They never woke up. The channel scroll keeps going. Anyone with food, even expired bread, is fine. The asker will be that person's dog. A flat tire, 50 kilometers from the gray mist, calling for backup. Just a sip of water. So Chang'an glances at the man across from her eating an egg, and at the warm milk in her hands, and at her clean clothes. If she had not run into me by now, she would be one of the cold corpses, or curled in a corner of the wasteland gnawing stone-hard biscuit and shivering. Instead, she is on a vacation more refined than peacetime. Her dependence on me hits its peak in that one breath. Stop looking, I tell her. I put down the fork and dab my mouth. This is the screening. This is the rules of the game. I point at her milk and tell her to finish it before it goes cold and turns fishy. Serious business today. She perks up and gulps it down with both hands like a hamster, leaving a milk stain at the corner of her mouth. I am in no rush to set out. I roll back to the driver's seat, recline it, and lay out 3 small vials. 1 light blue primary gene potion, 1 deep blue intermediate gene potion, 1 potent antibiotic. Drops from the rank 3 white thorn. The primary gene potion took my constitution from 5 to 15 last time. Stackable until my body builds resistance. No hesitation. I pop the cap, find a vein, push the needle in. Cold liquid into the bloodstream. Familiar burn rolls through me, head to feet. This time my veins do not bulge in agony like the first time. The first dose primed me. The acceptance threshold is higher now. It still hurts. I groan low and lean back into the seat with my eyes shut. In the passenger seat, So Chang'an looks up startled from organizing supply lists. My muscles are vibrating at a frequency you can see with the naked eye. Each fiber pulled tight as a steel cable, dense and streamlined. She blinks, openly curious. Primary gene potions are rare. She has only heard about them on the regional channel. 5 minutes later, my eyes snap open. She asks if I am okay. I tell her I am fine, raise my right hand, close the fist and punch the air. Compressed air cracks back open with a clean little sonic boom. Strength and speed both up. I open my panel. Name, Im Hui. Race, human. Status, healthy. Sanity, 100 out of 100. Below 30, suicidal thoughts. Below 20, whispers. Below 10, madness. Spirit, 5. Average for an adult, with higher spirit boosting sanity resistance and recovery. Constitution, 25. Up from 15. Evaluation. My fitness is now at the level of an elite special forces operator. I clench the fist and feel the corner of my mouth tug up. I pick up the intermediate gene potion. Name, intermediate gene potion. Type, extraordinary item. Quality, rare. Item grades run common, rare, perfect, epic, legendary, mythic. Effect, comprehensive physical strengthening, constitution plus 100. Side effect, intense pain during injection. Use requirement, constitution at 50, the human limit. Force use below requirement causes DNA damage, gene chain collapse, possibly instant death. Still a long way off. I sigh, slot the intermediate gene potion back into the different dimension. To clear the human limit, I need to keep stacking primary gene potions. I call out to Chang'an. My voice settles a notch deeper and more resonant from the potion. She jerks back to attention, having been staring at my forearms, face pinking. Post a buy listing on the public channel for primary gene potions. Price is not the issue. Whoever has one, push the trade. She nods seriously and tells me she understands. A cold system tone explodes in every survivor's head with no warning. Area announcement. Area C, 996 players, attention. Congratulations on surviving the initial 5-day screening period. First phase mission released. Boo City Expedition. Objective. All Area C, 996 players must reach the coordinate point Boo City at coordinates 324.5, 998.1 within 120 hours, and survive in the city for at least 24 hours. Rewards. Entry ticket to the next stage map, Land of Mist. 1 vehicle upgrade blueprint, 10 units of universal fuel, 1 primary gene potion. Friendly reminder, after 120 hours, every area outside Boo City will be covered by ultra-high concentration gray mist. The regional channel detonates. Boo City is a death sentence. Someone clocks it at over 3,000 kilometers from his position, with a top speed of 60. He is not making it. Someone else says refusing means the entire zombie wasteland gets erased. The highway survival game is herding everyone into one cage. Another voice flatly refuses to go. Another genius gets snapped at for not reading the line about everything outside the city getting wiped. Inside the recreational vehicle, So Chang'an's milk cup almost slips. Her face has gone pale. Boo City, she breathes, and looks at me. Boss, I am the calm one in the cabin. I pull up the zombie wasteland map and punch in the Boo City coordinates. Distance, 3,270 kilometers. At full recreational vehicle speed, including rest, roughly 20 hours to arrive. My finger traces a straight line from us to the red dot. We still have nearly 100 hours to spend on vehicle upgrades and physical training. That way, whatever monsters or demons are waiting in Boo City, we walk in calm. Sit tight, Chang'an. I two-hand the wheel, shift to drive, floor it. Current priority, abandoned aviation parts factory, high-strength titanium alloy. Push the recreational vehicle to level 4 first. The level 3 heavy-duty recreational vehicle roars like a beast woken up wrong, and we tear toward the horizon. Elsewhere in the wasteland, the Apex powers move at the same alarm. The Bachian Alliance convoy. 3 armed helicopters with live ammo patrolling overhead. Joe Chamba sits on a tank-converted Land Cruiser. Bald, tall, grinning. He calls Boo City his backyard and promises to crush anyone who tries to take resources from the Bachian Alliance. The Rose Society convoy. Their leader, Young Royoung, is a beautiful woman in a thin-strap maxi dress, wine-red curls cascading, slanted eyes that read seductive in any room. She lounges on the hood of a modified red Ferrari, legs crossed, swirling a wine glass, telling her sisters that the mission is their chance to prove themselves, and that they cannot lose to the smelly men. The Iron Blood Heavy Industry convoy. Their leader is a thin young man in thick-lensed glasses, sitting calm inside a 3-story modified behemoth. He warns his people that a first mission with primary gene potion as a reward will not come cheap, but high risk is high reward. Follow his arrangements, and he gets everyone to the next map alive. Collect firearms in volume, especially extraordinary ability ones. The Evil Wolf Guild convoy. On a vicious modified tank vehicle, a young, robust man with sideswept bangs and a crooked smile lounges in the back. Last night he murdered the previous Evil Wolf Guild leader and stepped into the chair himself. And right now he is in extremely high spirits. He tells his brothers their festival is here. To everyone else, the Boo City mission is a nightmare. For the Evil Wolf Guild, it is a banquet. Every C-996 survivor funneled into one city. Hunting season. Wind and sand on the highway. 2 hours after the Boo City announcement. Survival traffic on the road has spiked, most of it in groups of 3 to 5, some convoys above a dozen. Lone vehicles rare. On the only path toward Boo City sits the abandoned aviation parts factory. Strategic supply point. The same target we are running for. The only place to grab the 200 units of titanium alloy I need. So Chang'an, scanning the road from the passenger seat, tells me in a grim tone that there is a situation ahead. My eyes narrow. Through the windshield, the factory silhouette is already crouched on the horizon like an iron beast. And on its outskirts, a row of vehicles parked deliberately across the road. Pickups welded with steel plate, off-roaders with mounted machine guns, even a cement mixer truck dragged broadside to play roadblock. Someone beat us to it. I do not slow down. I press harder. That factory belongs to no one. So what if they got there first? The recreational vehicle's defense, the anti-tank mines and grenades in the different dimension, the heavy chain gun on the roof. That is my confidence. Brakes scream. The black recreational vehicle comes to a steady stop 50 meters from the roadblock, cold pressure pouring off it. The 25mm chain gun on the roof glints in the sun, aims dead center on the men at the barricade. Stop, one of the players at the roadblock shouts. He tells me this place has been taken over by the New Light Mutual Aid Society, and if I do not want to die, I should clear out. I do not speak. I sit in the cab and study the rabble. My gaze slides past them and lands on the modified Humvee behind their line. 3 people standing by it. The man in front is in his late 20s, gray trench coat sharp on him, gold-rimmed glasses pushed up on his nose. He looks refined. He pushes the glasses with 2 fingers, eyes behind the lenses studying my recreational vehicle with open interest. Beside him, a dark-skinned wiry man with hard muscle, and a striking woman. She is in black combat gear, fitted tight over long legs, blade-sharp eyes, red lips pursed, presence loud even when she is still. A sniper rifle rides on her back. Even in the apocalypse, her face stays cold, noble, untouchable. If So Chang'an is the soft white flower you want to protect, this one is a thorn black rose, danger radiating off every inch. The man with the glasses smiles, claps once, and signals his people to lower their weapons. Then he looks up at me and tells me, friendly, that his name is President Deng and he is the president of the New Light Mutual Aid Society. The area announcement drops and the channel explodes. Boo City, 3,000 kilometers, a meat grinder, a cage. I scroll the panic for half a second, then I close it. Beside me, So Chang'an stares at the blood-red countdown like it just bit her. The milk cup in her hand wobbles. She breathes out and looks at me, her voice small, asking what we do. I open the electronic map of the zombie wasteland and key in the coordinates. 3,270 kilometers. At the recreational vehicle's top speed, with rest, about 20 hours on the road. We still have close to 100 hours before the gray fog closes the door. Plenty of runway to push the recreational vehicle 1 tier higher and pad our stats. I tell her to sit tight. I grip the wheel, drop it into drive, and floor it. First stop, the abandoned avionics factory where the high-strength titanium alloy lives. Level 4 first. Boo City second. The Level 3 heavy-duty recreational vehicle roars like something woken up wrong, and we tear toward the horizon. Across the wasteland, the big names are moving too. Above the Bachian Alliance convoy, 3 armed helicopters trail live ammunition. Joe Chiamba sits cross-legged on a tank-modded Land Cruiser, bald head shining, calling Boo City his backyard and promising to crush anyone who reaches in. He genuinely sounds happy. The Rose Society rolls out under Yang Roryung, wine-red hair on her shoulders, spaghetti-strap maxi dress, perched on the hood of a modified red Ferrari like she's selling it. She tells her sisters this is their chance to prove the women run the wasteland. Iron Blood Heavy Industry rides in a 3-story behemoth. Their leader is a thin kid in heavy glasses, already running the math out loud. The reward includes primary gene potion. High reward means high difficulty. They hoard firearms and any item that smells extraordinary. And the Evil Wolf Guild. New face on the rear bench of a menacing tank rig. Sideswept bangs. Heavy brow. Crooked grin. He killed the previous leader last night. He calls the Boo City mission a feast. Every survivor in Area C. 996 will gather there, and his guild plans to hunt people, not zombies. Wonderful neighborhood. 2 hours into the run. The highway is filled up. 3s and 5s, the occasional dozen-vehicle convoy. Lonely drivers are rare now, which tells me how many people read the math the same way I did. The abandoned avionics factory crouches on the horizon like a steel beast. 200 units of titanium alloy live in there. nowhere else. So Chang'an, riding shotgun and tracking the road, tells me there is a situation ahead. I see it. A line of vehicles parked across the only approach. Welded plate pickups, off-roads with mounted machine guns, a modified cement mixer parked broadside as a roadblock. Someone beat us here. I do not lift my foot. The factory is not anyone's deed. I have anti-tank mines in a different dimension, grenades and a 25mm chain gun on the roof. Confidence is a stat. I brake hard 50 meters out. The chain gun on the roof catches the sun and rotates lazily onto the welcome committee. A man behind the roadblock shouts that this place belongs to the New Light Mutual Aid Society, and we should leave if we want to keep breathing. I sit and stare past him. 3 people stand by a modified Humvee at the back. The one in front is 27 or 28, dark gray trench coat, gold-rimmed glasses, the practiced posture of a man who used to bow to patience for money. Beside him, a dark-skinned lean man, all muscle and grudge, and a woman in black combat gear, sniper rifle slung, mouth a thin line, eyes that could cut sheet steel. If So Chang'an is the white flower people want to protect, this one is a black rose with thorns. The man in glasses pushes his frames up and signals his people to lower their weapons. He smiles up at me and introduces himself as President Dang, head of the New Light Mutual Aid Society. He calls our recreational vehicle a mobile fortress and compliments the modifications. He tells me he used to be chief surgeon at the City First Hospital before his brothers trusted him with the guild presidency. He gestures at the dark-skinned man and names him vice president. He says they sealed the area for everyone's safety. He says he means no harm. I lower the window halfway. I show him my face. I say one word back. Oh. His smile freezes, just for a beat, then resets to the same warm fake. He tells me not to be cold. His gaze slides over So Chang'an in the passenger seat, and even through the window I see the moment greed crawls behind the lenses. His luck is good today, he is thinking. The Black Rose sniper high already, and now this one too. And this recreational vehicle on top. He pushes the glasses again, smothering it, and proposes a deal. There is something he needs inside. More than a dozen white thorns, my firepower would help, and he will cut me in for 30%. The dark-skinned man, Wang Bin, scowls. He steps forward and tells President Dang they need bodies, not guests, and that I do not look like the type who takes orders. President Dang waves him off and reminds him that more guns is more guns. I sit high in the driver's seat and read the eyes. I have seen that hypocrisy before, in boardrooms and karaoke rooms. The look of a man who has lived among schemes long enough that pretense is his face. He wants me as cannon fodder. He wants my recreational vehicle. He wants my partner. I sneer inwardly, which is fine. He wants to use me as a probe. I want to use him to scout the floor. I still do not know the tier on the mutant species inside. I tap the wheel and I smile. 30%. Good suggestion. His face lights up. He pushes the glasses and asks what to call me. I say my surname is Im. He calls me Im Hyung and pivots straight into the brief. The white thorns inside are tougher than zombies at the same level. He is counting on the autocannon. I tell him to bring his people and make it quick. I rev the engine. The roar bounces off the roadblock. President Dang takes a long breath and tells his people, "Mount up, raid the factory." I do not look at him again. I roll up the window, floor it, and the recreational vehicle blows through the factory gate in a cloud of dust. Behind me, President Dang turns to the black-clad sniper and asks Miss Yu-Hai to do her part too. He promises the high-strength titanium alloy he owes her if they take the factory. She nods once, slides into her level 3 modified sports car, and falls into the line. Wang Bin licks his lips at her back and says she is really something. In his old life, he carried bottled water for a living and read novels at night about touching women who would not look at him on the street. The apocalypse fixed that, he tells himself. Muscle, ruthlessness, kills early. A guild with President Dang. President Dang shoots him a quick look of distaste and folds it back into a smile. He tells Wang Bin there is one in the recreational vehicle too. They can share. Follow the plan, no shortage of women in the apocalypse. Wang Bin chuckles and asks the question out loud. Do we really give Im Hyun 30%? President Dang takes off his glasses, pulls a clean white silk cloth, and wipes them slowly. The refined surface is gone. What sits behind the lenses now is Viper. He says the recreational vehicle is too tough to take by force, without a pile of dead men. And besides, he did not tell Im Hyung what he saw inside. Wang Bin asks what. President Dang looks at the gloomy factory and lowers his voice. Yes, more than a dozen Tier 1 and Tier 2 white thorns, but also a Tier 3 female, laying eggs. He laughs low, and the sound is wrong. One Tier 3, a nest of lesser ones. Im Hyung will burn through his ammo and his armor, and then the recreational vehicle is his. The woman is his. Wang Bin's stomach turns over once. He nods and keeps his mouth shut. President Dang has a specialization. He also has a powerful extraordinary item. That is why Wang Bin, even after a primary gene potion, agreed to be vice president and nothing more. President Dang slides the glasses back on and finds the refined smile again. He says, "All right, Let us go take a look ourselves. The New Light Mutual Aid Society convoy and my recreational vehicle roll into the abandoned aviation parts factory. The interior is bigger than I expected. Sunlight pours through broken dome glass and makes Tyndall beams in the dust. A graveyard of steel. Stamping machines stand in the shadows like dead giants. Rusted gears and broken pipes carpet the floor. My eyebrows pull together. 5 days of this world, and the pattern keeps repeating. Wilderness, highway, ruined buildings, no humans, only zombies and mutant species. The script on the ruins is nothing I have ever seen on Earth. I wonder, not for the first time, whether this was once a civilized planet like ours, whether its intelligent beings turned into the zombies we are now driving past, whether they were summoned into the same highway survival game on some other planet and never came back, whether the entire native population got wiped. One pass, I file it and drive. President Dang's car pulls alongside, a level 3 ambulance modded for war. The roof carries a plain machine gun manned by a kid at the control station. He rolls down the window and hands me a walkie-talkie. Says coordination will flow better with one. I take it and pass it straight to So Chung-gan without looking. I tell her to check it for anything that should not be there. She takes it and turns it over, and under her machinery specialization, the entire internal structure surfaces in her pupils. She tells me there is a tracking device inside, otherwise clean. I rub my chin. A tracking device does not matter. The convoy crawls deeper. The New Light Mutual Aid Society at the front. My level 3 black heavy-duty recreational vehicle behind me. Engine noise echoes off the walls in a way that sets the teeth. So Chung-gan scans the dark corners. She says the atmosphere is wrong. Too quiet. There were supposed to be more than a dozen white thorns. I tell her white thorns have intelligence the zombies do not. Predators. They strike when they think they have the kill. I keep one hand on the wheel and use the other to pull a cold cola from the car fridge. The tab pops. I take a sip and tell her it is perfect. We have free pathfinders up front. Our job is to clap politely. The words have not finished landing when the noise starts. A grinding, scraping sound from the depths of the factory, like 100 fingernails dragging a chalkboard. President Dang's roar comes over the public frequency. Watch out, on the left. Shadows move. Over a dozen white after images launch from behind the stamping machines, off the overhead beams, even out of the dead ventilation ducts. White thorns tier 1 and tier 2, 15 or 16 of them. They pour onto the pickups at the front of the convoy like wolves smelling blood. Gunfire erupts. Muzzle flash dances in the dim. The white thorns are too fast. The tier 1S eat hits. The tier 2S spin off the bursts and land on the roof of a level 3 modified SUV. Those upgrades used ordinary steel. Their armor is paper next to mine. The roof skin opens like tofu under a tier 2 claw, and the screams from inside soak the windows red. A voice on the walkie-talkie wails that they are too fast, too coordinated. The obstacles are killing line of sight. President Dang grabs his radio and roars at me. Im Hyun, where is your autocannon? Open fire and suppress. My recreational vehicle is sitting in a perfect firing line. If the 25mm chain gun ate, those roof riders would be paste. It does not eat. The muzzle rotates lazily a couple of times, like an old man on a stroll, then sticks. I pick up the walkie-talkie and let the chip crunch land first. Sorry, President Dang. Crunch. The fire control system took a knock on that last speed bump. Crunch. It is rebooting. Hold the line. Rebooting his ass. He is thinking. I can hear the walkie-talkie creaking in his grip. He has no choice. If this drags, his people are erased. He yells Wang Bin forward. He gives him the intelligence he bought at top price from a top guild. The white thorn weakness is a spot on the right side of the waist. Wang Bin grits his teeth and grinds the Humvee forward, the vehicle gun firing wildly. A blue level 3 modified sports car slides to a stop. Yu Hai rises from the roof in black combat gear, heavy sniper rifle braced, the muzzle tracking a tier 2 white thorn already inside her envelope. 3 shots in 2 seconds. Each round drives into the right side of the carapace at the waist. The tier 2 white thorn slams into the ground, twitches once, dies. President Dang shouts that she is incredible. I straighten a little behind the wheel. 3 hits on a high-speed mutant species. Almost no aim time. I had top snipers in my old life. None of them could do that. She has a specialization. Of course she does. A larger tier 2 white thorn figures out the recreational vehicle is not shooting. It curves off the main fight, bounces off a pillar, and turns into a streak of white aimed at our windshield. So Chung-gan flinches and tells me it is coming. I drop into reverse without looking up. The recreational vehicle jerks back. Not a flight, a measured tactical withdrawal. The white thorn locks onto the spot where I was supposed to be and lands on empty air. Its tail flicks. A bone spike whistles through the gap and stabs my windshield head on. The glass rings that spike has the rating to skewer a level 3 recreational vehicle. It bounces. Wang Bin watches it bounce. His own pickup looks like a hedgehog from the inside. He swallows hard. The greed in his eyes deepens. I look at the spot the spike hit. A long white scratch sits on the bulletproof glass like a key mark on a new car. I frown the way a man frowns at a footprint on fresh sneakers. I tell So Chung-gan to fix it. It is an eyesore. She freezes and points at the monster still crouched outside baring its teeth. It is still there. I tell her it cannot get in. I press the horn. The white thorn jolts at the noise. Before it can switch from startled to furious, an armor-piercing round from somewhere downrange punches through the right side of its waist carapace. The recoil throws its huge body across the floor. It slams into an iron pillar, and green blood paints the concrete. One shot. One tear, two white thorn. The other white thorns hesitate. Teeth bared, they break off and pour back into the rest of the convoy. So Chang'an exhales and looks at the windshield. The machinery specialization handles this. She opens a toolbox, fishes out a tube like clear toothpaste, and squeezes a colorless gel onto the scratch. She taps the air with her fingertip. A faint blue halo flickers. The white scratch closes like skin. The glass goes back to factory new, not a speck of dust. Under 3 seconds, start to finish. Across the floor, President Deng is changing a magazine when he catches the entire process. His pupils shrink. Machinery specialization. In a world where the vehicle is your life, even iron blood heavy industry needs half a day banging on a hood to fix a car. This woman fixed bulletproof glass with a flick. A god-tier support. Rarer than spiritual arts. The fire in his eyes climbs. Invincible armor, brutal firepower, a heaven-defying repair specialization. He decides again that he has to have it. He must have it. He must get it. He does not have the room to think it through. The White Thorn's coordination is finally cracking his line. Another modified pickup flips. The 3 players in it are dragged out and dismembered in a heartbeat. Blood pools, screams stack on top of each other. His own people underestimated the Tier 2 White Thorns. Smart, fast ambushers with terrain awareness. Useless trash, he hisses. He stops pretending. He pushes the gold-rimmed glasses up. His face goes cold and sinister, and he calls for cover. His armored ambulance stops. He thumbs a red button. The ambulance floor splits and opens to bare concrete underneath. He drops into the hole, crouches, slams his right palm into the ground. Specialization, spiritual arts quagmire. In a 50-meter circle centered on him, the concrete softens like batter, dark brown sludge, foul, sticky. The white thorns, agile as wind a second ago, sink. Their limbs go into the slurry and stay there. The harder they pull, the deeper they go. Lightning rods become lambs. I lower the cola. Another specialization. Interesting. A 50-meter area of effect like that should be eating mental power by the bowl. So Chang'an mentioned that releasing extraordinary abilities through a specialization burns mental power. Sure enough, President Deng's face goes pale, beads of sweat on his forehead. He shouts, "Miss Yu Hai, it is up to you." A flat understood comes back through the walkie-talkie. A dull, heavy gunshot lands over the chaos like a hammer. 200 meters out, a Tier 1 Whitethorn's waist carapace bursts like a melon. Green blood everywhere. A second shot. Another Whitethorn that had set itself to ambush me dies on the spot. Weakness punched. A third. A fourth. A fifth. Yu Hai is half kneeling on the roof of her blue sports car, the sniper barrel thick enough to be obscene, every trigger pull making her shoulder kick. Her body does not move. No wasted motion. No long aim. Every round buys a corpse. She has skills, I admit. Around her, the surviving New Light Mutual Aid Society shooters add their fire. Their aim is worse, their volume better. Under President Deng's lock and Yu Hai's harvest, the fight flips inside of a few minutes. The Tier 1 to Tier 2 Whitethorn swarm is exterminated to the last. Only corpses and green blood remain on the floor. President Deng exhales the stale air in his chest and lets the quagmire harden back to concrete. He wipes the sweat off his forehead and looks at the intact black recreational vehicle behind him, his eye twitching. 15 or 16 of his men dead. 5 cars destroyed. The man named Im Hyung lost not a flake of paint, and just now, in a glance, he saw the man pass potato chips to the pure-faced girl in the passenger seat. He drives up alongside me, the hypocritical smile back in place, the gritted teeth showing through the corners. He says, "My fire control system sure took a while to reboot." I roll the window down and pat the wheel with a face of regret. This piece of junk has moods, lets me down at critical moments. Lucky for me, President Deng's divine power is peerless. Settled the whole field in one move. I am impressed. Impressed as ass, he is thinking. He keeps the smile glued on. He says, "Since the area is cleared, let us push deeper. The high-strength titanium alloy will be in the core warehouse." I say, sure. In his eyes, the greed has graduated. Naked killing intent now. So Cheongan murmurs that the man in glasses looks at us in a way that scares her. She is not stupid. The feeling of being watched by a snake settles on her skin. I tell her to let him look. I crack another cola. Dead men do not have gazes. The convoy starts up again. Everyone in the line decides the worst is past and lets out a slow breath. Wrong call. The instant we cross into the core warehouse, a scream lances out from the deepest part of the factory, sharp enough to split eardrums, sonic enough to spider every glass surface in a 50-meter radius. Everyone covers their ears. A massive black shadow falls from the dome. No warning. A modified Hummer in the middle of the convoy, 4 people inside, takes the strike. It is not crashed into, it is pinned. The vehicle and the men inside are skewered to the concrete like a kebab. Dust lifts. A huge, terrible figure stands up. Its shadow covers the floor. The thing is close to 3 meters tall. body sheathed in bone armor as translucent as white jade and thick beyond reason. Its arms hang past its knees and end not in claws but in two giant bone scythes. Behind it, a 5-meter tail full of barbs whips the air with a sonic crack on each swing. Its face has no features, only a bloody slit of a mouth that splits from ear to ear, packed with rows of teeth dripping highly corrosive green saliva. Wang Bin stares at the Hummer pinned to the concrete, and his pupils shrink to pinpricks. He stammers, Tier 3. He had heard President Dang mention a Tier 3 female whitethorn laying eggs inside. He had not pictured anything this big. Just standing there, the thing reads as insurmountable. He turns to President Dang. President Dang's face is just as grim. He understands now. He underestimated the Tier 3 whitethorn. He has never seen one in person. But on the area channel the day before yesterday, that player named Im Hui killed one. Im Hui did it. President Dang has a specialization and a powerful guild. There is no reason he cannot. The whitethorn roars and vanishes from where it stood. Fast. Too fast. A creature that size moving at sports car burst speed. President Dang screams to retreat. Get out of the warehouse now. There is no time. The whitethorn punches into the convoy like a cannonball. A pickup trying to turn around gets one-armed off the floor, spins 3 times, slams into the wall, becomes scrap. The tail follows. It sweeps across a nearby off-road like a hot knife. The roof slices clean off. The upper halves of 2 players vanish. Only blood-spraying lower halves stay in the seats. Instant kill. Pure slaughter. In front of this Tier 3 whitethorn, the New Light Mutual Aid Society line is paper. President Dang panics. He slams his palm down again. Specialization. Spiritual arts. Quagmire. The ground softens. The whitethorn slows half a beat, hisses in contempt, and explodes its legs through the muck, using the counterforce to launch itself skyward. Pure Control loses its teeth against a creature that overmatches you on strength and speed. In the distance, Yu-Hai fires. The heavy sniper round that pops Tier 2 carapace like fruit hits the waistplate of the Tier 3. A clean metallic clang, a single white dot on the bone armor. No crack. Cannot break the defense. Solemnity finally cuts into Yu-Hai's face. She works the bolt and chambers a precious armor-piercing round. The whitethorn's intelligence shows. After a single shot, its crimson eyes snap onto her perch. It abandons the ants below. Its limbs grip the wall like a giant gecko, and it sprints vertically up the concrete straight at her. She lets out a breath and gives up the shot. She is confident she can land it. She is not confident the Tier 3 whitethorn dies, and if it lives, she dies. She dives back into her sports car and floors it for the warehouse gate. A sports car-based recreational vehicle wins the 0 to 100 race. The blue sports car is first to the entrance. A massive bone spike whistles in from behind. It punches the steel shell with a sick thud, 2 meters of it embedded inside the cabin. She had seen it coming in the mirror. She ducks low. The spike grazes her skin instead of piercing her chest. She glances at the wound, frowns, then floors it out of the warehouse anyway. President Dang sees that. Her sports car is the same tier as his ambulance. If a bone spike can perforate hers, it perforates his. He yells fire into the walkie-talkie even as he is already backing his vehicle out. The fight is over. The Tier 3 whitethorn is harvesting. Inside of 30 seconds, the New Light Mutual Aid Society has been wiped out except for Yu-Hai already through the gate and President Dang and Wang Bin still in their seats. President Dang slams into reverse and floors the ambulance backward. Hurry, hurry. If he does not get out of here today, he dies here today. The gunner on his roof turret, a kid, says with a shaking voice that the monster has locked onto them. President Dang's head whips around. He looks at the black recreational vehicle still parked in the middle of the floor. It has not moved. It is not attacking. It is not running. A silent reef. A flash of madness goes through his eyes. He says, "You forced me." He pulls something wrapped in black velvet from his coat. An eyeball-sized clear crystal sphere. 3 worms inside it. Sealed. Twitching. I cannot read his panel, but I know the type. Extraordinary item, spiritual arts category, rare quality, transfers biological hatred from the holder to any designated target inside a 500-meter radius. 1 use per day. 3 charges left. Side effect, the user loses speech for 24 hours starting an hour after activation. His trump card. He smiles like a man who has already won the argument with himself. Brother Im, since your defense is so high, please die once for everyone. He squeezes the crystal. A worm wrapped in red light bursts out and flies straight at the front of my recreational vehicle. It hits and pops in a spray of red motes. Inside, I stare at the hood for half a second. What was that? Outside, the Tier 3 whitethorn, mid-sprint along the wall and a heartbeat from pouncing on President Dang, jerks to a stop. Its head snaps around. Its crimson eyes lock on my recreational vehicle. Its roar shakes the floor. It abandons President Dang at point-blank range. It kicks off the wall, drops in a gravity-assisted dive, turns into a white meteor trailing a sonic boom, and comes straight at me. President Dang bursts out laughing. While he waves his surviving subordinates back, he shouts at my recreational vehicle, "Brother Im, it is your honor to die for me." This is the apocalypse. Only survivors are winners. So Chang'an watches the white giant grow in the windshield and freezes solid. She tells me it is coming for us. She tells me President Dang set us up. The white thorn is too big and too fast. Diving from dozens of meters up, bone blades leading, even a level 3 recreational vehicle is going to take a crater. I tell her not to panic. I sit in the driver's seat with the cola can still in my hand. I do not flinch the way President Dang expected. I do not open fire blind. I rest my finger on a green button on the center console. 25 points in Constitution buys you reflexes that read the world a half beat ahead. I count down off the rapidly expanding red dot on the holographic targeting screen. 3, 2, 1. The Tier 3 white thorn is 1 meter from contact. Get down. I slam the auto-fire launch button. The chain gun on the roof roars like the dome is being torn open. 200 rounds per minute weave a wall of fire. Dozens of armor-piercing rounds slam the Tier 3 white thorn's body. 3 or 4 punch through the weakness on the right side of its waist at once. The unstoppable charge stops. The huge body locks in midair for a heartbeat, then drops like a kite with the strings cut. All aim gone. It does not crash into the recreational vehicle. It slams into the concrete 1 meter in front of the front bumper. I drop into gear and floor it. Driven by the 4 indestructible tires, 20 tons of steel goes straight over the Tier 3 white thorn before it can find its legs. Not a collision, a crushing. Bones crack. Bones crunch. Bones snap. The entire factory floor goes quiet around the noise. President Dang, already through the warehouse door, watches his smile lock onto his face like a duck strangled mid-quack. No sound coming out. He watches the black recreational vehicle crushing the Tier 3 monster under it. He watches the roof-mounted chain gun rotate, smooth and unhurried, until the muzzle is pointed at him. A bone-chilling cold surges from the soles of his feet straight to the top of his head. The 25mm autocannon on the roof of my recreational vehicle finishes its slow rotation and locks onto the heavy ambulance, and the silence that follows has the weight of a held breath. Then a soft click sounds from underneath the ambulance, and President Dang abandons the driver's seat like a man on fire, slipping out through the escape hatch in the chassis and rolling clumsily into the shadows of the nearby ruins. The man knows what my recreational vehicle did to a rank 3 white thorn. His own vehicle is a soda can next to it. President Dang shouts hoarsely from behind an iron pillar, telling Wang Bin to fire, to cover him. Nothing comes out of the ambulance. A few seconds later, the window rolls down, and Wang Bin pokes half his head out with his hands raised high. He has already cut the engine. He has already thrown his assault rifle out the window into the dirt. Wang Bin tells President Dang that he is not smart, but he is not an idiot either. Then he turns toward my recreational vehicle, swallows hard, and shouts that he, Wang Bin, surrenders. He wants to live. President Dang screams that Wang Bin is a traitor, his refined scumbag mask finally falling away. He watches my black recreational vehicle crawl forward and feels the death rolling off the front grille, and his survival instinct overrules his pride in 1 second flat. He grabs his walkie-talkie and tells me it was a misunderstanding. Im Hyung. All a misunderstanding. The extraordinary item went out of control, really. I know how extraordinary items have side effects. I rest one hand on the window ledge and lift my cola can with the other, watching the show. I ask him if it really went out of control. He thinks the door is cracked open, and the pitch comes out of him like beans poured from a bag. He says the result is still good. The rank 3 monster is dead. We can call it an alternative form of cooperation. He says he is useful, truly useful. He has awakened a spiritual arts specialization. His art is quagmire, and he can be my support against monsters and against other players. While he is talking, he pulls a black velvet box from inside his coat and holds it up like an offering. He tells me he is willing to give the extraordinary item to me as an apology. He tells me one more friend means one more road. He tells me he used to be a surgeon at the First City Hospital. His medical skills are advanced. I look at the black box, and my eyebrows twitch. I ask him whether that item is what made the rank 3 white thorn lunge at my car. He nods so hard his neck almost snaps. He calls it the eye of shifting blame, and tells me it is mine if I let him go. That from this moment on, President Dang follows me. His face glows with the hope of a man who believes nobody can refuse a trade like this. In the apocalypse, an extra specialization teammate and an extra life-saving trinket should be impossible to turn down. Should be. I shake the cola can lightly and tip my head back for the last sip. I tell him I don't like him. The smile on his face freezes mid-stretch. Dang Qian asks me what I mean, says he has already handed over the item, says I should let him go like none of it happened. I tell him he misunderstood me. My hand goes back to the autocannon firing button. A small smile pulls at my mouth. What I mean, I tell him, is that if I kill him, the items are still mine. I tell him I have a bit of a germaphobe streak. I don't keep trash around that might stab me in the back when I blink. The words finish, and my fingertip presses. President Dang's eyes blow wide in spite-fueled madness. Under the threat of death, he scrapes up every drop of mental energy he has, slams his hand into the ground, and screams the name of his specialization. Spiritual arts. Quagmire. A 50-meter circle around him collapses and liquefies, the hard concrete dropping into a stinking black abyss that bubbles thick and slow. This one is deeper than before, viscous as tar. He laughs like a cracked instrument, He tells me to sink into it. The heavier my recreational vehicle is, the faster I will go down. He tells me he just needs to trap me long enough to run, and that I will drown under the mud before I can blink. Then his laugh freezes. My black recreational vehicle does not sink. The 4 wide tires bite into the surface of the swamp. As if they are biting smooth highway, the vehicle accelerates. A panel scrolls past my eye. Affix active, indestructible. Trait 2 triggered, constant grip. The recreational vehicle maintains 100% grip on any terrain, ignoring terrain. Quicksand, snow, a sea of fire, a road of blades. If I want to go, no ground stops me. The engine roars low, and the recreational vehicle plows forward, kicking up a fan of black sludge like a warship breaking surf, charging straight at the man who built the swamp. His legs fold. He drops into his own mud on his knees. He whispers that it is impossible. I tell him over the loudspeaker that nothing is impossible. I tell him to keep his eyes peeled in his next life. I poke the axe gun out of the window and don't bother aiming. One shot. A red hole opens at the center of President Deng's forehead, and the shock on his face slides backward as he tips into the quagmire he made, sinking slow. So Chang'an widens her eyes in the passenger seat. She had braced for our recreational vehicle to drop into the mud, not to walk on top of it like a god. She glances at me with open curiosity, but she does not ask. She is just an employee, and her boss has not volunteered the answer. A guild should leave together, I murmur, nice and tidy. I swing the autocannon onto Wang Bin's vehicle. Wang Bin sees the muzzle move and starts begging in earnest. He swears he is a good person. He has strength. He could be my dog. I ignore him. Wang Gu taught me the lesson already. For people I have a grudge against, killing is the cheap option. My finger is almost on the button when a roar comes from the wilderness, deeper than the female white thorns by an octave, the kind of sound that vibrates in your teeth. A massive white afterimage streaks across the lot. A blade thick as a spear punches through the door of Wang Bin's vehicle and through his chest, lifting his whole body into the air. Blood runs down the bone spur. The dust settles, and a male white thorn nearly 4 meters tall steps into the light, every plate of bone armor on him polished to a metallic sheen. His crimson eyes don't bother glancing at the corpse hanging off his tail. They are fixed on my black recreational vehicle and on the meat pile of the female still cooling in the warehouse. A male white thorn. A rank 3 that has evolved cleaner than the last one. Every weak point closed. The aura hovering near rank 4. My hand tightens on the steering wheel, so Chang'an's voice trembles beside me. She says this one is fiercer than the last, and she isn't sure the autocannon can break the carapace. I tell her that even if we can't, we have to. The thing came for revenge. I shift gears. The dashboard walkie-talkie crackles before I touch the pedal. A cold female voice tells me the male white thorn's weakness isn't the waist. The previous gap has evolved shut. The new weakness is in the seam between the third bone plate at the back of his neck, no larger than a coin. I raise an eyebrow and check the side mirror. Yu-Hai is propped on the roof of a blue sports car behind a heap of discarded steel, sniper rifle braced on the bipod, scope tracking the male white thorn. She had not run after all. I lift the walkie-talkie and ask her flatly why she is telling me this. Her tone keeps its aloof edge. She tells me she didn't go far. She saw me drop the rank 3 female, and she came back hoping for a share of the spoils. She tells me this male is at the rank 3 peak, says my autocannon has firepower but not the precision to thread a coin-sized gap, and if it closes the distance my recreational vehicle is going over no matter how thick the plate is. She offers a deal. I attract its fire and pin it from the front. She has a single depleted uranium armor-piercing round, one shot only, and she will put it in the seam. After it's down, she wants 200 units of high-strength titanium alloy. The rest is mine. She adds, for context, that an aviation parts factory this size should hold more than 1,000 units inside. I glance at her in the mirror. She has nerve, brains, and decent aim. I tell her I can handle it alone. A few more shells of mine spent. That's all. I have over 300 armor-piercing rounds still in the racks, and I do not believe a rank 3 male can outlast them. My recreational vehicle is only level 3. But with the affix backing it has 100% grip, will not flip, and at worst comes home dented. So Chang'an's machinery specialization will smooth the dents back out for the cost of some scrap. The walkie-talkie sits silent for a moment. Then Yu-Hai throws another chip on the table. She tells me she knows a lot of information. Intel on extraordinary items. The full taxonomy of specialization categories. She thinks I would find that interesting. The word specialization catches in my ear. President Deng's quagmire still bothers me, and the eye of shifting blames mechanism bothers me more. Until I understand the rules, I am playing blind. Deal, I say. I tell Su Chang'an to get on the autocannon. She nods hard. The male white thorn roars and slams his hind legs down, cracking a pit into the asphalt. He launches like an out-of-control truck, pressure wave rolling ahead of him, straight at us. I throw the recreational vehicle into reverse and gun it. So Chang'an slams the weapon system into overload, and the autocannon spits long ropes of fire. 25mm rounds chew at the male white thorn's chest and head. Most can't punch through, but the impact alone stalls him. Jerks his head up, and his roar comes out ragged. Now I shout. Behind the ruins, Yuhai holds her breath, and the world goes still. One dull, lonely shot. The depleted uranium round drills the coin-sized gap, then detonates inside the spine. The male white thorn locks. His 4-meter bulk sways and then crashes, kicking dust into the air. 4 or 5 items drop, hovering in green light at the impact point. Battle over. I drive straight to the edge of the quagmire instead of dismounting. President Dang has gone under, but the velvet box bobs on the surface of the mud. The moment my front wheel crosses the rim, Space Folding's auto-loot pulls the Eye of Shifting Blame into my different dimension. I tell Yuhai I am cleaning the battlefield first. Any objections? She says, as I wish, she only wants the 200 units of alloy. I work the lot like a comb. 2 bottles of potion, food, drinking water, universal fuel, daily necessities, common ammunition, a game console, a stack of clothes, and deep in the back warehouse, 1,500 units of high-strength titanium alloy. I tell Sochiangan to strip the New Light Mutual Aid Society's vehicles in the outer walls of the parts factory. Good steel everywhere. When I clean a battlefield, I do not leave a blade of grass behind. An hour later, the lot looks like a locust swarm passed through. Every valuable metal, every electronic component, every scrap of the New Light Rex vanishes into the different dimension. The system pings list a haul. High-strength titanium alloy, 1,500 units. Steel, 8,000 units. Electronic components, 220 units. Rubber, 160 units. Rubber, 120 units. Rubber. The extraordinary item Eye of Shifting Blame. 1 primary gene potion. 1 drone. 12 units of universal fuel. Various daily materials. I nod once and roll up beside Yuhai. She slides out of the blue sports car and looks into my recreational vehicle. Her eyes widen the second she sees the cabin, which is showroom clean. She asks where the supplies are. Asks if I have awakened a spatial type art within the spiritual arts. I tell her it doesn't matter. I do not get out, just crack the window. I ask her if we can talk specialization in extraordinary items now. Yuhai breathes in carefully and begins.